Are you sure, bro? The
It
W.
is now. How do you not know how to say your name?
It is not.
And here's my good friend from the
Ventum.
country of Africa, Aja Ventum.
Aja Ventum.
Aja Ventum.
China.
All right, so how you doing, Tom Borthwick?
I'm doing quite well. How are you, Mark?
You sound a little under the feather.
Yeah,
Are you rounded?
No, thank God.
Huh?
Test came back negative, so you're good.
All right.
That's all right. None of us give a shit.
No mask.
Been there, done that.
So Tom and I have been friends for a very long time. I believe the first time we met was right around the Coxton campaign. You were doing
yeah.
You were doing that web series, which was, if you can find it on the YouTubes, find it.
It's there.
Tom wrote that. He's also an accomplished writer. Published accomplished writer.
Ooh.
He teaches English at Riverside High School.
I do.
He has been on the Scranton School Board.
I was.
He has been fighting to be on the Scranton School Board innumerable times.
Innumerable indeed.
What is it about you that is so goddamn polarizing?
Well,
there are people who are like, Tom Borthwick is the man, and there are other people who are like, fuck that guy.
Wait,
yeah,
did you say he's on the school board?
I was.
He was on the school board.
Was, yeah.
And now
he's
wanna
running
get-
again.
So why am I polarizing? It's funny.
Because you're actually incredibly intelligent. You're very affable. Like people, like anybody can talk to you. You're not a fly in the ointment amongst your neighbors, I'm assuming. I'm just trying to understand, why is it that a lot of times sound reason and judgment are things that people are afraid of?
Well, it's actually a more complicated question than you would think, I guess. The first thing is, a lot of people can get behind simple things that I'm for, which is for, like better education. I mean, we're all for that. I mean,
yeah.
No one's against that. But polarizing, I don't come from anywhere. My last name is Borthwick. I'm not connected to anything.
Is it because there's not like an MC or an O apostrophe in front of it?
I'm not even going to say
and
that.
I don't even understand why that should be a thing.
Well, you know
what I'm talking about? Where it's like, you got to have the right, even if you're the most mentally handicapped person, if you have the right last name, you could potentially be an elected official without making a public appearance.
And I'll explain why that is in the city. And so the thing is, nobody goes in and learns the biographies of all 9 school board members. Nobody does that. And I don't even blame them for it, because it's overwhelming to figure out all the policy positions of 9 individual people. You can't even do that with your own immediate household, I'm sure. So when people see a last name that's familiar from a clan that they know or a family that they know, they're like, oh, I know a so-and-so. They're probably related. That makes sense. I trust them.
Familiarity there.
Is that like the Casey kid who was Robert Casey?
Yeah, Rob Casey, who was a great director when he was on the board. Like people.
There are times when it can work in the favor for the voting public.
Yeah.
But a little of this, I don't know.
Yeah, so that happens a lot. And so on one hand, I can't blame people for that. Now, I do my best to be an educated voter. So I'll give you an example. So like my family's Lebanese. If I saw a Lebanese last name, I'd be like, I probably know one of their families. They're probably better than the stranger I don't know. And so it makes sense that people do that, even though it's not the best thing. So I wouldn't say that makes me polarizing. But
I'm not saying that's why you're polarizing.
No. But I'm trying to explain it. I like that makes me an outsider automatically. Right. I'm an outsider. My dad Borthwick is an old Forge Avoca DuPont name. I'm from. That's where my dad's from. My mom is a Lebanese West Sider. My grandmother Italian South Sider. But not everybody knows that stuff and doesn't get the connections.
I thought you were Italian by how you talked with your hands.
Yeah. The Mediterranean, Lebanese, Italian. It's all. Yeah. My mom is all over me.
Same.
And so the other side of it is that I also have, because of my, I guess, Mediterranean background, I don't know, I have a mouth on me. Yeah. So I don't give a shit what I say. And I have for a long period of time, I ran a blog years and years ago, NEPA, it's NEPA Partisan or anypartisan.com. Years ago I wrote, and I didn't care what I said. I'm like, hey, if this is what I say, I'm going to call it out.
Right.
And I also have my, tomborthwick.com is my site. I write about local politics on there all the time. And, I've done that long enough that people have, I'm sure, been pissed off at me. And I don't give I won't give any criticism unless it's constructive.
Right.
But a lot of people in the game don't like any criticism. Everything has to be perfect all the time. So if I'm polarizing, it's because I'm A, an outsider, and B, willing to speak. And both of those things rock the boat. So on the other hand, you're right. Well, I mean, I don't know that I'm affable, but I appreciate your opinion. But
I've never seen you like look at somebody who you disagreed with and it got anywhere above a conversation.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'll talk to anybody.
So the affable part is more like even in the environment of like the way it is, you will talk to anybody.
And the thing is, fundamentally, everyone here, we agree on 99% of everything.
Right.
You know, like I said a second ago, you know, we all agree that we need to have a better education for our kids. No one on earth is going to say, "Ooh, I'm against good education." So we have a baseline where we can start
on how to get there.
Yes. Yeah. But even then, that's a conversation we can all get through real easy.
But even with that, we probably still agree on 95% of how to get there.
This is what I'm saying. And so, you know, when you're talking about, I can get along with anybody because I can have a conversation with anybody regardless of political perspective, because at the bottom line, all of us, no matter our political persuasion, want better for ourselves and our neighbors and our families. So nobody disagrees with, hey, we want better for everybody.
So we were supposed to have Ty Holmes on too, but do you want to explain what happened real quick?
Yeah, Ty's sibling is sick with COVID in Jersey, so he had to be hospitalized. So Ty went to take care of and be with his family and
and
take
that's
care
totally
of his family.
Understandable.
And Ty, I'm running for school board. Ty Holmes is the president of the local chapter of the NAACP. He's my running mate. He's a wonderful, wonderful qualified man. He's a veteran of the United States military, 25 years.
Was he in the Army?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
I watched the debate.
Yeah, he started distinguished service, and all he does, he's retired from the military, and all he does is volunteer locally. Yeah. That man,
Veterans Vision, yeah.
Veterans Vision. He runs Veterans Vision, which is a great volunteer outreach organization for veterans, but also, he volunteers for everything. Great guy. I'm running with him. Danielle Chezik, West Sider, like. Ourselves.
Yes.
And
I'm a legacy we've established.
Yes. Danielle Chezik, she's school district mom, wonderful, positive advocate for Scranton kids. And then also Sean McAndrew, who's on the board right now and the only guy who really asks a lot of questions and holds their feet to the fire.
Yeah.
Now what's his background? I watched him today.
So Sean works for a pharmaceuticals company. His background's business.
Right.
So he brings that to the table. And so he's always asking questions about, well, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Why are we spending this? Why are we spending that? And he's in the minority on the board. So they don't like that.
Yeah. So I've had some conversations with Sean, one-to-one, and, he's an advocate and he'll try to, get things done because people call him,
Yep.
And, all of a sudden you're blocked by like a committee. Oh, we'll handle that, or we'll get these questions answered for you. And then you're like, all right, cool, week, 2 weeks, like, okay, like, why can't I just go directly
how does
to
that
the top?
How does that work? The committees.
That's actually a huge problem, and it's a contrast. So I've gotten to know Sean really well, and I was on the board for enough time that I can say, here's how it was when I was there. And then
now, real quick, you got appointed to the board.
I was appointed on the board
3 years ago.
It was 2019, February 2019, and I served until December of 2019. And
man, are you happy you got out before the pandemic?
No, I'm not actually. If I were there,
I would not want to be in a position. I would not want to be in a position of responsibility.
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem trudging into the fire, but
it was a short term.
It was short, but it was during the formation of the recovery plan, so it was pretty consequential. But the thing about the committees that Alex is bringing up is crazy. It doesn't even make sense. So they passed these rules that say
how many people on the school board?
There are 9.
9. Okay.
So everyone except the president has committee presidencies, and it's like operations, buildings, stuff like that. So they passed a rule that says you can't ask questions of administrators in the district unless you go through your respective committee.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. That is anti-transparent because
who set that up?
The president of the school board, her name is Katie Gilmartin. She was really obsessed.
So that wasn't like an always rule.
No, it was not. It was a recent rule that she put in. Yeah, she put that into effect. She was the policy chair when I was on the board, and she was big into policy, and she enacted this policy after I was off the board because I would have rejected it.
I mean, is it almost like a middle management position?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically,
stance on it. I mean,
so I'll give you a simple example. Like let's pretend I'm on the board right now. If I want to find out about why Neil Armstrong is closed, because it's closed right now because of a sewage issue, right? And that happened just today.
Wow.
Yeah. Neil Armstrong. I feel bad for people in North
did you
Scranton.
stop by there?
Wait, when did he? When they closed it? They closed it today.
Today.
Oh.
So like,
feel free to everyone have bourbon.
So
yeah, I'm all about it. Give me some of that bourbon.
We're literally talking about a literal shit show.
So what's going to be happening to the?
Well, wait. Let him get through the thing.
So if I were on the board right now, my goal would be I would want to find out why this shit is happening.
Because parents are going to be knocking down his door.
They would call, and that's what happened when I was on the board. They'd call me, and I would find out the answers, and I would get back to them. Can't do that now. Now I would have to go to the director of buildings and grounds in terms of committee, which is called the operations committee, and I would have to ask her. Thanks, bud. I would have to ask her to find out for me, and then she would have to get back to me and explain it to me. And that's time consuming for a multitude of reasons. What if A, she doesn't get my email or phone call? B, what if she doesn't want to respond? And I would have no control over that as a fellow director. And then what if
so you can't hold anybody's feet to the fire?
There's no holding anyone's feet to the fire under this system. And so a parent who is angry and who I'm accountable to, if I'm on the board, I'm accountable to these parents.
Yeah.
So I can't answer their questions because I have to follow this bizarre chain of command that doesn't make any sense. Here's the thing.
It's newly implemented.
And if you're a school board director, you're the boss. You're the boss. And not many people know this. You're actually a state level elected official. Mm-hmm. If you're a school board member, you are a state official because your next level boss is the Department of Ed. So you're not county, you're not city, you're state.
Not to interrupt you.
No,
question.
So you just did, Alex.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I'm going to interrupt you. So do they do background checks and things like that?
No, you mean for board members? No.
So hold on. So anybody can run, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. If you're a
win.
convicted felon, you can't run.
Well, yeah, but like I don't know. I feel as though they need to do something. I'm not a convicted felon, you asshole. I had one misdemeanor.
Who's Mr. Meaner?
Mr. Meaner.
Don't think we're going to let you walk away from that.
Alex,
we're coming back to that.
We'll get to that.
I think you mean Mr. Wiener.
Mr.
That's
Wiener.
what I mean.
So you're around children or whatever. I mean, maybe you're around, maybe you're not.
I'm sorry.
I know. But they don't do any kind of background checks? I mean,
No, you just have to do a financial disclosure.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, just your
I don't
financial
know. I just think
stuff.
that's weird. But continue.
So these draconian committees.
Yes. Back to
these insane committees.
So when I was on the board, if a parent called me, I'm like, I'll call.
You should have an answer relatively soon.
Director of HR, send
There's
me
only
an email.
9 of you.
Director of finance, whatever. Budget director, call them, email them. As a board member, I'm the boss.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would want. Well, now they have a directive and they're doing it, and there's going to be a policy meeting on Monday. And the policy is going to say that administrators are going to be able to refuse directors a response if they're not part of the chain of command.
What?
And that's BS because you're, again, a representative of the public. And that's hiding information. And they're doing it under the guise of efficiency, but it's bullshit.
That's not efficient. That's the antithesis of efficient.
Yeah.
So isn't the board on top?
Yeah.
Like, so the board is on top. So the committees are supposed to be reporting to the board if I'm getting
So the committees themselves are made up of board members.
Yes.
But yes.
But
you're
technically. Right. So like in business, they have this thing where it's called like the ERP, right? Enterprise Resource Planning System.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what it is it just levels the playing field. So you remove silos and all these things. So information could move freely so everybody could work, right? Because then you have like accountants that would say, you know what? I'm not going to give you the information that information that is very pertinent to maybe like a marketing deal.
Right. Or
and the marketing team is waiting for it. And they're like, oh, no, we're not going to give it to you because maybe they might have something, whatever, against the marketing team. So they have all these like ERP system thing where everything flows, so smoothly. So you could be the top and still go into the system and see what is happening. So, I mean, like, I get the committees, right? It's important because they have to do work.
Sure.
But then, in a way, the resources, the information should flow. So you, being the top of the chain, should be able to see it.
Yeah, of course.
When you need to see it.
Yeah. And that would make sense, but they're compartmentalizing information. And the other thing is it stifles it in terms of timeliness. So let's pretend there's a director who needs an answer to a question before there's a vote on something.
It's usually Sean.
Which is exclusively Sean. And so
He's the only guy who asks questions.
yeah. So what ends up happening is if Sean wants to find out this information before he's going to vote on something and he has to go through a committee, that person doesn't always respond on time.
And he can't say that I can't vote because I don't have enough information yet.
You can. Right?
You can, and he does complain about this situation, but at the same time, you can't really abstain unless you have like a personal connection to a particular.
So here's what I don't understand. If you need to have enough information to make an educated decision about the thing that you were elected for, what would be the reason not to give that person information?
Okay, so so I've confronted them about this, and so I'll tell you what they've told me.
Because 35,000 foot view, I think any reasonable person, if you went and explained to them the hypothesis of like, hey, if you do this thing and it'll slow down the effect that it has on children, would you be for that? And everyone would go, no, I'm not for that.
Okay, so here's the alternative perspective to try to play devil's advocate if I, whatever. So they're saying that they don't want to create a situation where people who are in central administration are fielding tons of questions from 9 directors. Mm-hmm. And so they're saying that that's an inefficient method of information transmission, because if all 9 of us get calls about the issue at Armstrong and all 9 of us simultaneously call the head of operations, then that's an inefficient use of the director of operations time who could be solving the issue. So that does make sense, but the way to solve that is the director of operations, as soon as he gets the first call, emails everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, group email, man.
Yes.
2021.
Boom.
This isn't rocket time.
That is the entire
CC.
I like how it just turned into like a praise Jesus church service.
But I mean, listen, we're just now getting this information, and immediately our thoughts were, well, why not just have a system where if somebody fields a question, the committee member responsible for that just gathers the information, sends out an email.
Yeah.
Done.
Or a group text.
Yeah. Or whatever.
This isn't rocket science.
We plan this every week via group text.
Yeah, so whether or not I'm on the committee, I want to still have the right to be able to investigate, because what if the other 8 don't want to investigate?
What if someone's on
the thing.
vacation?
Yeah, and that's the other thing that Sean has had an issue with. If somebody's not around.
Vacation.
Is everyone on vacation?
No, but what if the chairperson's on vacation?
people take
So if someone's on vacation, there is no answer.
There is no answer. Yes.
No, sorry, bro. Out of office. See you in a week.
You guys need like an ERP system,
Bro,
man, where information is
Scranton
central.
needs a lot of stuff.
Information is central. And then you could, you want it, you could go find it.
Well, that would make sense, Aja.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not from Scranton.
We're dealing with impracticality.
So let me ask you this. So you're running, you mentioned a couple of names that are running. How many people are currently running and how many seats are available?
Okay, so this one's fun because there's a 2-year seat that Katie Gilmartin won on the Democratic and Republican side, so she's going to win that no matter what.
How did the 2-year seat come about?
There have been multitudes of resignations over the past couple of years on the Scranton School Board because nobody wants to be on it. That's how I ended up getting my temporary spot. So there was a resignation, and that 2-year seat is up. So you have to do the 2-year, and so there's 1 2-year and 4 4-years. Now, Katie,
there's 5 out of 9 available.
Yeah. So
one's already locked.
One's locked. Katie gets the 2 years. She's going to serve 2 years no matter what.
Okay.
Now, she also ran on the 4-year. This is why there's a race. So she ran on both the 4 and the 2. And her and her group's goal, and this is just pretty politically obvious, if she wins both, then the board gets to pick the vacant seat.
The 2-year seat.
Yes.
Wait.
So that would give her the power over that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Aja, this sounds exactly like it was explained.
Yes.
Would you like to share your thoughts on what you think this
why
is?
don't they just appoint the lowest vote getter? Is that where you're going?
That's not how,
Why wouldn't they just appoint the 5th?
That's just not. It's not how it works.
So how many people are running?
Okay, so for the 4-year, there are 5 of us.
Including Katie.
Including Katie.
Yes.
So Katie, who's also on the.
Yeah, but if she wins, no one gets the 2. They get to appoint the 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know it's unnecessarily complicated.
There's 5 people running, including her, and there's 5 seats available.
There's 4.
No, there's 4 plus the 2. There's 5.
Yeah.
And there's 5 people running, including Katie.
Yes.
She already won one.
This is not rocket science.
So now she's trying to fill, but there's 5 people trying to fill 4.
She's trying to.
There's 5 people,
Filling
and there's
5.
5 seats.
But she's trying to
two
get
different
2 of
terms.
them.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this should all be over.
Well, in an ideal world,
You resign one and you focus on the other one. Whatever you want to run. Like you
No,
can't. You can't have them both.
No, you can. That's what they're doing.
yeah. So I would agree.
Is it Scranton?
Is this Scranton?
This is Scranton. Yeah. So yeah, that's what's happening. And she even in the primary, she ran on that platform that she released an ad that basically said, "Oh, we've had lots of great opportunities to appoint people. So vote for me on both, so that I can win both, and we can appoint someone to replace me on the other one."
What?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this is. I mean, this is why maybe.
I'll just let the
people
foreigner
should
go.
kind of like go.
Yeah.
People should kind of like go hard after her, man. Could she lose the 4-year seat?
She could. So that's where it's
Possible.
competitive. Now,
Okay, so
now
maybe go hard.
Yeah, but she had. But here's the other thing. You have to come in dead last to lose the 4th seat.
So there's 5.
She's not going to come in last.
She's not going to come in
correct.
last.
No.
Yeah, and I will say this, like
Your face says it all, Aja.
I know it doesn't make sense.
Like what?
So I'm going to say this, like I don't think that she's a bad or ill-intentioned person, but just like
This
anybody,
is politics.
Yes.
but just like
Great politics.
but she's got an agenda that I don't agree with, and she wants to make sure that she has people on there who push the agenda that I don't agree with. So we are adversaries in that regard.
What is the agenda you don't agree with?
Oh my God, where do you want me to start? So
Just give us like the big 1 or 2.
I'll start off with the fact that so Joe Biden was just here. He gave a speech about how much he loved.
You mean Brandon?
Yeah,
Brandon. Let's go.
So Brandon was here, and he just gave a speech where he talked about universal pre-K, and she was in the audience. She got rid of preschool.
Yes.
Preschool was paid for fully by federal funds in the city of Scranton, and they got rid of preschool anyway. It was paid for.
Why?
So
What was her
What
reason?
was it? Yeah.
So her reasoning was it's in the recovery plan. And if
Which hasn't been passed yet.
No. It was passed, but
it's that ongoing.
It's an ongoing thing.
Drawn
And I
out.
was on there when we created it, but there were a couple of things about preschool that were in the plan that they just didn't follow. And the contention with Katie and Dr. Finan, who is the chief recovery officer who follows this plan, is that they're saying, oh, it's not amendable, but they change it all the time.
Yes, you said that.
They change
You
it all
said
the
that
time
in the
debate.
in the forum, and I'm like, dude, like this makes sense now, but the newspaper doesn't tell you that.
No, so
They like kind of cover that up.
so Katie
So
was
it's a recovery plan that's constantly amendable.
it is, and it was
it's gotta
sold
be
that
evolving.
way.
Yeah.
It's of course because they got
Just so we make it clear.
yeah, they got $60 million in stimulus funds. Of course, it's amendable.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was coming.
It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
a car contract.
Of course.
Yeah.
So they cut this, and Joe Biden actually, before they cut it, released a public statement begging the Scranton School Board to keep their preschool program.
The president?
He did. Well, he was a candidate at the time.
I don't remember.
Wow.
He did, and they gutted it anyway.
Wow.
Immediately
But
afterwards.
for what purpose?
So this one's convoluted. They stated over and over it had nothing to do with money. They said it had everything to do with consolidation of programs. But here's the thing. They replaced it with an early childhood intervention program, which you're going to need if a kid doesn't have preschool.
Yes.
So they
What?
they created a problem and then solved it. So the reason that this is personally
So politics as usual.
It's like domestic
it's nothing.
ESL.
Well, this is why it's personally important to me. My son Tom would have been in that preschool program this year. He's 4 years old. He would, and you've got a son who went through the school district. Maybe he was in preschool. Like this preschool program.
He was in the hospital, but we won't talk about that.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Sorry.
But I will tell
Bringing
you.
the mood down.
Well, I will tell you this though. This was the first preschool program in the state of Pennsylvania, one of the oldest in the country.
Yeah.
And they ended it last year.
Wow.
And they ended it despite Joe Biden saying, "Hey, this is my priority," and him again here just this week saying this is a priority, and it cost no dollars, zero, covered entirely, paid for by federal title funds.
So hold on. Maybe it costs no money and they cut it because someone wasn't getting a kickback.
Well, so and now,
No, but- so wait,
you
what-
you like to get controversial, right?
If we're going flat Earth, let's go flat Earth.
No, let me do it. One of the members, there are 3 school board members who have personal vested interests in local preschools, which that's where all the
financial interest.
Holy shit, we're going deep.
Wait, financial interest?
Yeah, and I don't have a problem bringing this up because
Let's financial
and
interest.
it doesn't. And
Let's go, Tom.
I've only had one sip of bourbon, so it's not
interest?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wait. So if they prosper, they prosper.
Yeah. So
You're shit hitting me.
okay. So one is on the board of a local preschool. One
Private?
her
Paid?
Private preschool?
Yeah, private. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if she's paid or not, but she's on a private preschool board. Another one, her treasurer owns a local preschool, and then the other one, her daughter owns that same local preschool that the treasurer is part of. And even better, this preschool also opened a kindergarten. And here's the thing: the kindergarten competes directly with the Scranton School District, and every single kid who leaves the Scranton School District to go to this kindergarten costs the district, if it's a regular ed kid, about $14,000. If it's a special
To
ed
be
kid,
enrolled in that kindergarten.
yeah,
God's plan.
the Scranton
How
School
much is special ed?
about $24,000. So the Scranton
Dan,
School,
is there more pot? Is there?
I think you smoked
and
it all.
this
All right,
and
Jesus.
Why,
this-
why is nobody talking about this
well,
publicly?
and actually, I'll just name the director who.
Don't listen to them. Do it.
Don't.
Well, I
do it.
know.
Don't.
Why?
Give me one reason why
Because
no.
because here's the very
All
good
right.
reason, right?
He brings
'Cause
us
if you
back to
don't
reality.
name the person,
Yeah.
it's going to force people to find out
Okay,
who.
fair
Okay,
enough.
well,
Or, and hear me out
Tell
on
us-
this,
tell us
we
later.
could save them some time.
No, because
and Tom could tell us
because
now.
people
Angel?
are
Devil.
more
Angel?
Dan, pull it up and put it on the
people,
TV.
people are more inclined if they're curious. If
Yeah.
they're not curious, they don't care and they just think you're talking
Yeah,
shit.
but out
This-
of
this is
100
what's so-
people, it's like
curious.
10
This is
people.
what's so infuriating to me is we talk about this sort of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
The political corruption, the nepotism, all of that stuff. But now you're messing with kids.
Yeah.
Like I have 2 kids in the Scranton School District. You have one or gonna have one.
I'm
soon.
gonna have one next year and another one a couple years from now.
You're gonna slip one past the goalie at some point. Like it's gonna happen.
I just got to keep taking shots, man.
I'm so
You
glad.
miss 100% of the shots you never take.
That's true.
Wayne
so
Gregsey
glad.
/
So
Michael
glad
Scott.
I don't have a kid in there.
But listen,
In the Scranton
this
School
is
District.
kids.
Yeah.
Like this is kids.
Yeah.
So now we're playing with kids' lives.
And
The
money.
Monopoly
I
Man's
think
up
it was
there.
that guy, right?
Yeah, it was that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's infuriating.
Yeah.
Like it's one
is-
thing when you're
this is
playing
nothing,
games
Mike.
with.
But this is
I know,
this
but
is
it's-
Scranton. This
but it's
is
one
what
thing
you
when you're
expect.
playing games. But I mean, listen, you guys know me. I live in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't particularly love either side. I don't particularly hate either side. But this is a group of people who are of the party that claim to care. They claim to care about those in need. Those
Are they all of a certain political persuasion?
Every single
Dude,
person on
there's
the board
only
is a Democrat.
There's only Democrats.
I
on
mean,
the
so
school
like,
board.
let's just call it what it is. What are you doing? I mean,
Ma-
these are the
making
people
money.
that are supposed to care about the less
I
fortunate.
mean, that is like
they're
that,
supposed to care about education.
that. I mean, that is like the legal textbook definition of like conflict of interest, is it not?
Yeah.
Dude,
I would
so,
say
so this week I've had
It-
these
it
conversations with people. They're Democrats, national Democrats, but then they're Scranton Democrats. Scranton Democrats would murder their mother for $20.
was
And they're
what's the
racist.
difference? What's
And
the
they're
difference?
racist,
What's the
yeah.
difference
It's
between-
crazy.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Go.
What's the difference between the National Democrat and Scranton
Well,
Democrat?
Scranton Democrats are more like Reagan Democrats.
Okay.
Scranton Democrats are more like Lyndon Baines Johnson Democrats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said
But
Reagan,
that's not
you
to
said-
say. That's not to say. It's complicated.
that's for sure.
It is.
Anyway.
Like that's the best way to describe it.
So-
like
Yeah.
even the politics around. Here's the thing: is that the politics around here are known nationwide and
Yeah.
probably worldwide
Oh,
about how like devious it can be.
Well,
Yeah.
there's national stories about
All
the
time.
worst political climate in America.
Yes, is
The
here.
most
Yeah.
corrupt is Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Well, or at
and
least the
Lackawanna
top
County.
3, I think.
And not to
But at times we have been number 1, but
Yeah.
we live in the top 5.
yeah.
All right, so pre-K.
Yeah, that's the best explanation I can come up with because one director's family has very, very seriously benefited positively from the destruction of pre-K.
Are they somebody whose term is coming to an end soon, or are they still on?
No, they're not.
She's got 2 more years.
Okay.
Wow.
How,
I think it's Ro Hume.
Wait,
I'm
hold
sorry,
on.
I didn't know we invited a man to
Is
this
that-
podcast.
is that
Wasn't she
my,
drinking?
my water?
She's the one who drank during the school board
She-
meeting. Yeah.
No. She turns
What?
wine into water.
Hold
Yeah.
on. What
She's
we know
opposite.
for a fact she was drinking
It
in
was
a
on
school board
Zoom.
meeting?
Bro.
It was on Zoom.
Oh,
no,
she was
dude.
at
She
home
pulled out the
drinking?
wine bottle,
Yeah,
but it's
Dan,
water.
She claimed it was water, but she has a water
I'm just
dispenser
marking this
on
just
her
in case
actual
we
fridge.
come
There's
back.
no way she was drinking water.
Yeah.
Nobody talk over each other. Dan, can you get on
Oh,
YouTube
he's
and
gonna-
look up Rohume, ROHUME, Scranton School Board meeting
Wine bottle.
wine bottle? It has to be there.
What?
It's yeah.
oh yeah,
is
you didn't
happening.
know about
So
this?
it's in the middle of the meeting. It was a late meeting. It was like going to
I'm not
11.
against people drinking, but
a meeting.
not during,
I mean,
not during the meeting
She
about
wa-
the kids.
Walks to the fridge, opens the fridge,
Oh,
gets
you
the
see
wine
it.
bottle, pours it, holding the cup like this.
Like a chalice, like, it was
like
the
a chalice.
Was
the,
it
it's
at
the
least
cup of
like
Christ.
white wine?
Had
It
to
was
be.
white,
It was
yeah.
white wine.
Okay, I mean, I was going to say if it's red, like
Yeah.
you're just an idiot.
No, this is white wine.
She claimed it was water, but she had one of those fridges with a water dispenser.
Listen,
it wasn't water.
like, we
and who puts
keep-
water
Did
in
you
a
see the bottle?
It was
Like-
a wine bottle with the
Yeah.
wine thing on it. She said, "Oh, I put water in wine bottles."
So like we
Oh
have
my
we have one of those bottles that are like, you go to a French bistro and it's like a Grolsch,
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't look like a wine bottle.
she's not a
And I
particularly
think,
great director.
I think it was that same period of time somebody else fell asleep.
Yes.
Gretchen Welby fell asleep,
Yes. Yes.
Any relation to Tom?
No, actually, no.
No, the Welbys are like a big they're like the Smiths.
Yeah, Welby
There's
is
a lot
I don't
of like
A lot of them-
Garrity families that are a lot of them are
Right.
Yeah,
not
I married a
related.
Garrity, and she's only related to like 3 of them.
know.
Yeah, and I'm related to Garrity's, but not your wife.
There you go.
Oh, you
Well,
really did the
Marky,
opposite.
first
Any
of
luck?
all, I think you bring up any name in northeastern PA,
I'm your
and Marky's
wife
like,
and
I'm
I'm
related.
related.
Yeah, dude, every
there's that,
time.
there's
Yeah,
that.
your
I mean,
family
there's-
are like rabbits.
There's
Yeah.
there's the you in Scranton you're either related or know them.
So now
No.
you have Lebanese ties. You
Yeah.
are Lebanese, but you're not
Wait, you have
Thai.
Lebanese ties?
Well, my aunt through
Yeah.
marriage I have Lebanese
Yeah.
ties.
Who's your aunt?
Janakopoulos.
That's Greek.
No,
But
but
yes, I
yeah.
know.
so the
Wait, which aunt?
Elaine.
his wife. Yeah.
Oh,
God,
they
God
used to
rest
my
her soul.
family.
They used to own G&L.
Yeah, that's my family.
Oh,
Wait,
So we're
are
related?
so you are
related?
related. I knew it.
Yeah,
Oh my
Elaine,
God, this
that's
is a
my
big
cousin.
day.
I knew it.
She married Bootsy.
Yeah.
All
All right.
yes, all Lebanese are
You're
related.
looking up
all
Zorba
of
and
you.
not Rohume wine.
I think this is much more worth it.
Yeah, this is definitely much more worth it.
all Lebanese.
Oppa!
Oppa, breaking
All right,
plates.
do
Yeah.
me a favor. What's your second thing? While I look this up, and I'm going to send it to Dan.
What second thing?
Like 1 or 2 things. Like the pre-K
Oh,
is a big one.
Okay. All right. So the pre-K was one of the big things that I,
I mean,
think
we
are the
could
major
just stop
issues.
there and
This
it'd
is
be a
exciting.
major problem.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, and I really could talk about a lot of things, but this one's going to sound. This is me on a personal level speaking ideologically. I think when they came up with the recovery plan, which has devastated the district. I mean, you have teachers leaving in droves. They have
Oh,
lost
yeah,
over
it's
100.
getting bad.
We can go teach.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can. You can
I'm
get,
aware.
You can get a job tomorrow.
I've had that
Really?
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
They have emergency certifications
Yes.
right now.
Which, yeah. Hey, you know, if you followed the Scranton model at a hospital, you could perform brain surgery tomorrow. That's how bad it is. Anyone
I'll
can get a
trust
job.
Aja.
I could.
Let's
I'll trust
do it.
Aja to do that.
Yeah.
But teach.
No, brain surgery.
It's that
No.
they're that understaffed. They're throwing emergency certificates to
Yeah.
people who are not qualified all over the place.
This sounds like a fucking triage. Like
It's a
No,
mess.
yeah.
It's bad.
this seems like the thing. It's like we are out of options.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I
yes.
mean, there's kids sitting
Yes.
in classrooms
With
just watching
nobody.
TV.
Yeah. So
It's that bad. It's horrendous.
So I want to at some point I want to get into my view of receivership. But go on.
So
Oh, good. I'm glad we have our guest this week, Alex,
Fuck
with his
you.
views.
No, I have one comment on it. But go on.
So
Continue.
so the thing with my idea here is we never, when we created the recovery plan, I said this when I was there, we need to talk about what the future is going to look like.
Right. In
So-
short term.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nobody ever
Reactive.
did.
Scranton's
in the
reactive.
short term, like I was one of those kids who they put a violin in my hands in 4th grade, and I played until I graduated.
gay.
and I'm fine with that because I still play music. So
Yeah.
But no, you have a very talented family.
I appreciate that. And so the thing is, how many kids who are in poverty are ever going to see a violin privately? So my dad
Right,
maybe would have
right.
made sure I had a violin, right? But not everyone's dad's going to do
No.
that. No one, and everyone's fan is going to do that. So Scranton allows kids who would never normally access things like the arts or music access to those things, and they're gutting it to save $1. And I think my son is worth more than $1. And I think, and if I feel that way about my kid, that means all of us need to feel that way about every kid in the city. And so that's one of my operating feelings here, that when they cut everything, like they're revamping West Intermediate School, which has a planetarium,
what?
and they're getting rid of the planetarium.
What?
They're getting rid of the music rooms.
Yeah, but that's because space isn't real.
Yeah, well, of course.
The earth is flat.
Useless.
They're getting rid of the art rooms. So those kids. How many times have you gone to school? All of us in this room, we gone to school, and you don't give a shit about calculus. You don't give a shit in that moment about history or English. You don't want to learn about Macbeth this day. And I'm an English teacher, and I get it. Not everyone wants to learn about Macbeth, and it hurts my soul, but it's fine. But you know what? You loved going to art class.
Yeah.
And you loved going to music
It feeds
class.
the soul.
It feeds the soul.
Yes.
And they're gutting it.
Well,
they're
'cause-
taking away what makes learning wonderful. The variety, the art, the creativity, the stuff that accesses these kids' humanity and creative sides. We're creating drones who take tests.
Yes,
And
exactly.
Scranton is feeding into that. And I don't want my sons to go through that. And here's the thing, private school is not going to be any better for them. No. So I don't have any options. The best option is the Scranton School District for my boys. But the best option is if the Scranton School District funds the arts.
Yeah.
And music like they have done historically. I'm going to tell you one quick thing. When I was a senior in high school, I took a computer music class in the year 99 to 2000. They were teaching me how to compose music in a digital situation. That was years ahead of its time. My senior schedule was that. I had orchestra, I had creative writing, I had journalism, I had AP European history and AP English. And I'm an English teacher and a musician, a person who appreciates the arts. Like all of my senior year in high school made me who I am today.
Yeah.
2 of my English teachers were at my wedding, for God's sake. And I still have a relationship with them. And that's, and you're trying to take away all this stuff from our kids. I mean, my kids deserve better than me. They're not worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they replacing them with?
Nothing at all.
That's the budget cut they made.
Yeah.
For the recovery plan.
Yep.
Not administrative pay. Administration got raises.
Yeah.
And they made more administrators. They made more central administration.
It sounds very democratic.
So what led to that cut? Like, I mean,
we have no money.
We have no money.
But here's the best part of that.
No money doesn't make any sense.
Yes, you're dead right here. That's the thing that I have a huge point of contention with these guys. So the pandemic saved them a fortune. They've also had 3 straight years of budget surpluses. They hadn't had budget surpluses
in decades.
For well over 10 years. And they were borrowing one-time funds, all this stuff. Okay. So when I was on there in 2019, $300 or $500,000 budget surplus, very minuscule when you're dealing with the $159 million budget at the time, but okay, we'll take it. Next up, they've got a $3 million budget surplus last year, $8 million this year.
Mm-hmm. Does the $8 million include the 60 or no?
No.
So they have $68 million.
There. The money's
plus
there.
Plus they got a $60 million
so they have
stimulus package.
$68 million surplus.
And they're still trying to cut things out.
And they not just trying, they did.
I can tell you, like, just from a business owner perspective, like I get a lot of resumes and you know, before we own Lavish.
Do you? People are applying?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. But like even before that, when I worked for the paper and a couple different things, I would see a lot of resumes. I usually skipped right over the educational portion and went to the extracurricular.
Yeah.
Because for me, when I am looking for somebody who's going to be a good employee, I don't care how well you take a test. In fact, if you test well, I'm probably just going to kind of ignore that.
You're good
what
at
I'm
repeating.
looking for is, were you involved in the arts? Were you a part of a chorus? Were you a part of, did you take coaching well? Did you play sports? I want to know if you know how to be a team player, to put the group before the individual, and to follow instructions well. That's everything I look for. The rest of it doesn't really matter. All it means is you test well.
Yeah.
The smartest people in the world don't test well.
No.
Exactly. And you know, it's funny. You reminded me of something I read a long time ago as a teacher. That sometimes the B kids are the best kids.
Right.
Because doing your homework doesn't necessarily mean you know anything. Mm-hmm. Doing well on the test doesn't necessarily mean you know anything. No. And all that really informed how I became as a teacher, because you're not a test. You're like, for example, like I spend a lot of time, I'll assign papers as an English teacher. That's a better measure of what you can do because you can put time into it.
Right.
And you can refine it and you can present to me your best self.
Yep.
And that makes more sense to me than focusing on passing a test to make a district look good or whatever.
It doesn't do anything.
And colleges aren't even paying attention to SATs these days. So why are schools forcing testing down these kids' throats? It's so inorganic. It's disgusting.
I think like CTC is the way to go.
You know what? Honest to God. And,
can you explain that for the people in the room like me? Who
Career Technology Center.
Oh, there's no
trade.
No trade. No trade.
Yeah.
Votech.
They're dying.
Bro,
They're
printers, they have salon, they have stylists, they have everything at CTC. I wish I had CTC growing up. You know?
Yeah, so there's 13 trade unions that operate in Northeast PA, and all 13 endorse me.
Awesome.
Which is even the elevator laborers.
What?
I know.
And you use stairs. That's insane.
The Otis guys?
Yeah, those guys. So like carpenters, electricians, bricklayers, all of them. And I talked to them a lot about this. They're looking. They can't find enough people.
Yeah, nobody.
Have you recently tried to get a contractor? It's impossible.
Yeah.
Because and I try to tell my students, I'm like, you know what? You don't need to have these tests and college forced down your throat.
No.
You can graduate high school with zero debt, know how to be a plumber, enter the union, get an apprenticeship, make more money than God, and never have a dime in debt.
Yep.
You know,
what is the cause and effect of, like, what do these kids who get through, kindergarten, grade school, middle school, high school, like when we look back on that generation who is neglected of these things, what do those kids look like?
Yeah. So they don't know,
especially coming out of this fucking thing.
I know. So Gen Z is a good example because they're the first ones that really dealt with the like post No Child Left Behind cuts to all this stuff. And God knows my kids' generation is going to be even worse. But I see it every day. So they don't know anything practical. They have no practical understanding of anything. They can fill in bubbles on a test really well, but it ends there. You know, the practicality of their education is not there, and it's a more systemic problem than Scranton. So I don't mean to.
I agree with that.
Dive in.
But I'll ask these kids simple things like, hey, do you know how to balance a checkbook? Do you know what taxes are? And they're like, no, they have no idea. So that we're about to send them out into the world, and they know nothing.
Well,
Aja, go.
I mean, I was just gonna say. I mean, look, I get that we want to put a lot on the schools and stuff like that and teachers, but also parents are so important. Like parents got to get involved. Like I'm so involved in my daughter's life, right? I'm not gonna say I plan almost everything, but we do have conversations. Like the other day, I was telling you. I mean, when she was 6, we were talking about compound interest and what that meant. Right. Now she runs my other business. Like she actually even does it better than I do. And I have the MBA. And sometimes I sit back and I'm like, wait, did you go to business school?
You're out of touch.
You know what I'm saying?
You're out of touch.
So I think, parents got to be a part of it as well. Right. Parents got to be a part of it as well. Like today, I've been helping my sister out. My sister has a daycare. And
is she on the school board here?
Nah. If she is, no. If she is, I'm telling you, she would change a lot of stuff. I bet that lady is something else. So you think
his sister's
she's
as
like
awesome
3-4 times more than
she want to move to Scranton and run for school board?
No, she is in Scranton.
Yeah.
Oh, well then,
boom, we got a candidate.
Yeah, but I don't think she would ever do that. Right? But
I can't be shitting on her and then have the nursery school.
So I was at this school. I don't want to mention the school name, but I was at this school and. Like
Riverside.
Riverside. And I picked up the kids and we're leaving. And then all I heard was like screaming, 2 parents fighting, yelling. And I'm just standing there and I'm
Were
like,
they Greek?
Nah, they were minorities. But
were they Greek?
So keep going.
Anyway.
But like I'm watching these things and I'm like, I looked at them and I said, man, my people, man, you disappoint me all the time. Like this energy, you could focus that energy on doing something better.
Yes, they can.
And what they were fighting about didn't really
matter.
And I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, like I rather take that energy and pour that into your kid.
But here's the problem.
So
most of these kids, though, their parents were not taught just like the kids are not being taught.
Right. There's that.
It's generational. I mean, this goes back. I mean, think about it this way, man.
We got to break that.
But here's the thing. I was a no child left behind kid. When we were kind of in that, the tail end, but we were in that generation.
Right.
Unless you were taught, unless you were raised that way, unless you were brought up that way, that's just not a reality that you could teach your kid that. And the harsh truth is that's 90% of people.
Yeah. And, just from the teaching perspective, we can hope as much as we want to hope that parents do what they need to do. They just don't a lot of the time.
So,
and there's nothing. And so teachers become surrogate parents all the time. That's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people are leaving the profession nationally.
It breaks my heart. It breaks my I've seen some of the things and it's not because she's my sister, and I'm not saying everybody should go to her daycare, but I've seen some of the things that she does, and I even people talk about my daughter, and they talk about how good she is, educated and everything, and I saw how my sister poured into her, even from the arts. My daughter's been, is it the Pennsylvania Shakespeare Society? She's done theater, in Pennsylvania, in
great.
Allentown area and stuff like that. But it all started because my sister was pouring into her, doing these things. I used to watch the kids, and I remember I'll see them 5 years old, and she's teaching them how to program on the computer.
Oh, wow.
And she bought all these expensive robots, and she was teaching them how to do programming. And I was like,
wait, does your sister have a contract with the Department of Defense? How is she getting kids robots?
No. Yeah. There was
STEM?
there was this robots that were big.
All right. Just get into your point. I don't want to know about she can find a KB.
But I'm just saying, I saw that, and I saw what she was doing, and there were times that I was like, man, you got to be nuts, doing all that. But she saw a need, and obviously, a lot of the parents that she's dealing with, 90% of them are from poor families, so that is their only chance of getting something like that.
One of the things that really made me very concerned when the pandemic hit was what is going to happen to this generation of kids. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean about education.
No, social anxieties,
I mean
everything.
about mental health. I mean about suicide. I mean about addiction. You name it. Bullying, online, offline, all that stuff. And then it made me start thinking about why did my generation behave the way that we behaved, and why did my parents' generation behave the way that they behaved? And what I'm starting to realize now is, like you said before, there is, what are you doing, Alex?
It's fun.
Can't you just sit?
It's
like
fun.
a child?
It's not my fault.
You're like a nervous chihuahua over there.
Not my fault.
What, you want to sit in my lap so you can shake?
No.
I think that no one ever thought about it. I think that no one ever thought about it during this pandemic. And while they're sitting there trying to figure out how they can make their friends happy and not worry about the kids, these kids are suffering in immeasurable ways. Yeah, and that 20 years from now, we will never know truly what the impact of this was for these kids. And so for these fucking people to be behaving this way is, to me, a crime against humanity.
Yeah, it's
I know that you're just on a local school board and whatever, but you need to have some fucking perspective.
Well, sure.
You are not just a local school board member. You are making an impact in somebody else's life.
Yeah.
Right? That kid.
But you missed my point. You missed my point. They're not worried about that.
They
don't
should be worried about.
Yeah, but they don't. They're not running for... Look at who is there. Look at what you're surrounded by. Do you think they really give a fucking shit about kids? If they really gave a shit about kids, they would forget everything else that is interfering with their fucking lives, like getting rid of pre-K, art, music, the things that are going to make sure that kid one day is not going to be like, hey, I feel like tying a cinder block around my waist and jumping off this fucking bridge. They're not doing it. It teaches them
how do we change that?
It's money. They've been on the
team. Who you elect.
Right.
How do we change that?
Who you elect.
Vote Tom Borthwick.
Vote Tammany.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is we need to realize how we got here.
Yeah.
Before we can talk about where we want to go.
That sounds familiar.
Of course.
Someone in the parking authority.
How did we get here?
So I mean that's so.
Sorry, my butt shut and I got mad.
No, it's loaded.
Why'd you get mad?
We could start
because it's disgusting to me.
Well, so you could start off with things like No Child Left Behind, what we talked about, but let's talk about the more immediate stuff that you brought up with the pandemic and its effect on kids' mental health. So one of the things that I did last year, especially with my students, was I would just say, we're not going to do anything this Monday. We're going to do a check-in. You're just going to tell me how you feel about life. And if you owe me some assignments, you can use the time during class to work on that. But I definitely want to hear how you feel about life right now. And that's all I did that day. And I would
Did the
do it.
results surprise you?
Well, they didn't surprise me, but I try to be empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason the results didn't surprise me because I expected them to say that things are rough right now.
Right.
And so the kids would say, we're overloaded with work. You know, this is not normal and we can't handle it normally. Thank God for the break. We really appreciate it. We need the time to play catch up.
Wow.
And so I'm doing that this year too. And you know, you have educators. People are talking about learning loss. You probably heard the phrase, we're worried about learning loss.
It's like this generation, or like just in the last year, kids lost like 2 or 3 IQ points.
Memorization points.
And you know what? I don't even understand what learning loss is, because I was just saying to you, like half the time, I don't even, the kids come to me with no practical knowledge anyway, you know, and I don't mean that negatively about kids at all.
Those kids who don't have practical knowledge are going to have kids that they can't impart practical knowledge to, and these kids have already been through a
going to be a
cluster.
downward spiral.
So what I'm saying is, as a teacher,
So how does no one see shit like this happening?
you know,
How does no one go like
because-
cause and effect if then?
Because the last people who get consulted about how education should be
Are the teachers.
are teachers.
Right.
Yes, you exactly.
Follow the
We're
directive.
the last people. We know, because we're the boots on the ground. We know that our kids are suffering. We know that their mental health is getting killed. We know that they're overworked. But then
So
we
this
have
is a leadership issue.
Oh God, yeah. So because we have principals.
But this is top down leadership.
Yeah,
this
top
is
down.
national
So you
level.
think of military,
but
man.
But I mean, if you had good leadership on the local level, it wouldn't be as much of a problem as it is. So you have people who are like, we're more concerned about making sure that we do well on the test so that we look good to the state than we are about everything else.
Then in that
Money.
moment, children are just cattle.
Oh God, and
Money, dollar
I
signs.
hear you.
They have been for years, but now it's worse because the pandemic has been palpably negative for them. It's been negative for us, but my God, think about a kid who was robbed of a social life in a time when they need to develop socially.
Or, I don't know, to see people smile.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Can I ask you a question? What would it look like if we got rid of the Department of Education on a federal level?
I don't even know. It's a great question.
As he puts his head in his hands, he has no idea.
No, I don't want to do that.
It's not that I don't want to do that.
Well, so for me, and this is
The
why
bureaucrats shouldn't have anything to do with education because,
Yeah.
you know, like, well, but as a teacher, as a boots on the ground guy, my principles, you know, you've had good ones. I've had good ones over the years, bad ones over the years. You need 5 years as a teacher to become a principal. I have 17 years of experience. I don't need somebody who had 5 years of experience in an elementary school telling me that they knew how to do my job better than I know how to do my job.
Right,
But the
right.
system is set up that way. Now you've got good principals who recognize that and will defer to teachers, but they're few and far between. You know, and here's the thing. A guy like me, you know, I could probably do the job of a principal, but I don't want to do that because I want to.
You want to teach.
I want to teach.
Yeah.
And the people who move into those administrative roles, they're not always ideal. And, you know, and like I said, I've had good ones. I've had bad ones, you know, and there are good ones and bad ones all over the place. But the best ones are the ones who get out of the way. And
Do you think there's different ways to teach, even in a close proximity, just like, let's say, Riverside to Scranton High School?
Yeah.
Like, there are different ways to teach
Absolutely.
those children.
Same.
So
in
just
the
by-
same building, there's different ways.
So just by, well, I mean, I'm just trying to get, you know, without
No, I
like
got you.
individual
Sure,
to
sure.
individual, but, you know, to have some sort of, you know, guideline or doctrine from up high from people who've
Doesn't
never
work.
been consulted. But I mean, that's what they're trying. That's what they try to do all the time.
Yeah.
You got to teach it this way, and then the shit of that shit way of doing it now sprinkles downhill to the local school districts, and then disseminated from there. And then those school districts probably have their own shit that they want to teach how they want to teach it.
Yeah. So like, you know,
Per the state, I mean.
no, I got you. And so for me, so I take the challenge.
It's so fucking complicated.
Well,
like, how do you be a teacher anymore? How do you inspire a child?
So I can do it. And like, I don't think I'm anything special, but I do give a shit about my profession. So I mentioned Macbeth earlier. So like, I can take Macbeth and I could make that interesting to a senior or a junior, because I can start off by saying like, look, there's this badass guy who was the head of his class in terms of loyalty, friendship, love, and care for his liege. He cut the enemy of his king in half from knave to chops. He cut him in half. This guy was badass warrior. So I could talk to you about Macbeth and make a kid be like, wow, this is a great intro to this, and make them pay attention. And a lot of teachers have those capabilities. But when you get,
the way I understand it, they're handcuffed to do that.
Yes, exactly. So like I do my best to navigate the handcuffs, and a lot of us do our best. But you look at a district like Scranton, which has shed over 100 teachers. And
how much of the total teacher pool is gone? What percentage?
So, in a union,
what long?
So in
How long?
1/9.
1/9 have disappeared since when?
2 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
Since the start of the pandemic.
It's about
the recovery program.
Yeah. It's about 1/9. And I think that's only people who've quit. I don't even know. I don't think that's actually retirement. So it's probably more. But here's the thing.
Damn.
So you think about a teacher who's been there for 10 years and then bails to go to another district. That's 10 years of experience that you're going to replace with one of two people. Someone who is A, just right out of college, who has no experience, or B, someone who's not even certified. So that's what Scranton is providing their kids. This level of awful. And hey, maybe they're great. Hey, look, everyone needs to start somewhere. And I don't begrudge the people who are coming into the profession at all. But
there's
Scranton
a learning curve.
Yeah.
You've got to learn.
And so Scranton needs to teach its people well, like treat its people well, because you're taking these experienced, great people and kicking them out.
Yeah.
And the people who get hurt are the kids.
But why? I don't understand why, as board members, or even administration is like, we don't care. And you could say that you care all you want, but your actions are counter to that
Mark,
feeling.
I
As
agree.
soon as money is exchanging hands, there's political motivation.
Always.
And we've seen it time and time again. People don't care about the fallout. And when you have an undereducated population, they tend to do what they're told.
Mm-hmm.
And in Scranton,
that's what's
Pennsylvania,
happening. The entire student body is getting dumber.
think about it. We talked about this. Like you were saying the arts.
Am I wrong there?
For me, the arts are a big deal.
It's not great.
It's not good. But like the arts are a big deal. But I had to help my daughter with history the other day. She and her history teacher aren't vibing, and
I wonder why.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like she's a straight A student, honor society, the whole 9 yards, and she's like, I just can't do it. So I tried to kind of help her navigate how to do that, and it made me start thinking about the things that we've gotten rid of. We've stopped teaching. The arts are good. And they need to be there because that's what makes life beautiful. And it right brain, left brain, all that fun stuff. But as soon as you're not teaching history well, as soon as you're not teaching civics well, as soon as you're not teaching economics well, that's when you get a dumbed down population that don't understand how the world works and how it should work.
Civics.
Yeah.
It's real simple. Like, so when you have people that don't understand the way that the world works, they don't understand the way that the world works, when they don't understand the political makeup of our country, they start making decisions based on emotion, not on logic and reason. And I think that's a big part of why we're in the position we're in right now, is people are just responding to what they think they need to do, not looking at the bigger picture. Because if you stopped and stepped back and looked at the bigger picture, you wouldn't be voting for the same people that you keep voting for, because it's going the wrong direction. And it's the definition of madness.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
Why are we the least funded district in the state?
Oh my God, that's a whole other criminal problem. So, so the state has a funding formula that currently favors rural districts, and so the state a couple of years ago passed a law that said any new funding would be fair, but funding from before that would have to go through the old formula, which favors rural and not urban districts. And that's because urban districts are underrepresented in the legislature because the state is more rural than it is urban. So what the problem is, Scranton, the funding formula, we're dead last. So when
how many districts in the state?
There are literally 500.
We're dead last.
Yeah, on the urban side, we're dead last, and we're close to dead last if you consider all 500.
What do they take into account for that?
So it's oh my god,
because we have higher population than like Du Bois, PA.
Yeah, but so it's
the minutia of it doesn't matter.
Right.
Dead last matters.
If you looked at the formula, it's like a bunch of calculus that none of us would ever understand.
Okay.
So
it's Common Core.
Yeah, there you go. It's Common Core. So bottom line is, when you put our information into this formula, we get screwed. And when I was on the board 2 years ago, there's three subsidies. There's your basic education subsidy, your special ed subsidy, and your vocational education subsidy. So when I was on the board, we only looked at the basic subsidy because it's the largest, and we were about $23 million per year. Underfunded. And the estimates, if you do all three, are about 36 per year. And so we wouldn't have to destroy anything
if you got fair funding.
Yeah, the teachers would have the best contract. When I got my job in the early 2000s, I tried to get a job in Scranton. I wanted to work in Scranton as a teacher, and I couldn't because this was the Taj Mahal. This was the place that you went if you wanted a teaching job. And I'm sorry, I didn't make the cut.
You didn't know O'Malley?
It wasn't even that. It was just like everyone wanted to teach in Scranton. Now nobody does. But Scranton was the pinnacle. Best contract, best district. More kids went to Ivy League schools out of Scranton than anybody else in any PA. And that was it. And the funding issue just destroyed it. $36 million per year.
Where does that funding come from? Is that a state rep or is that a senator issue? Is that what?
So our state reps and
who's the petitioner?
So our state reps and our state senator, especially Marty Flynn, have been great advocates. Marty, I remember when I was on the board, I went to him like, here's the issue, here's the money, here's the deal, here's the PowerPoint, here's everything. I gave him, and he actually sat outside the governor's office and said, I'm not leaving until you talk to me about why Scranton's not getting any money.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting
what?
Mm-hmm. To talk to Wolf, and we got a one-time $9 million infusion.
Was that 2 years ago?
That was in 2019 when I was on the board. And then we also got I think it was like at the time a 1.7 million year over year increase in our funding. Not anywhere near enough, but better than zero. And since they have been upping our funding each year, but we're still woefully behind. They closed Bancroft and they shoved all those kids in trip school. You know, that Bancroft was the last true neighborhood school in the Scranton School District. Nobody had to be bused there. Everybody walked. It was the last true neighborhood school. That wouldn't need to be cut if you had all this money. It would look like a brand new, palace. So if you had an extra $36 million a year.
But what about the shit spending? Like the shitty bus contracts, the kickbacks, all this stuff. As a taxpayer, my tax bill is probably everyone's combined.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I own property, so I deal with that as well.
Right. But they just keep.
Okay. So the bus contract, I think that's the thing that the Times focuses on that I don't think is nearly as bad. So I think the Red Top contract is like 1.5 million and the Naples contract is 1.5 million. And you're looking at this year's budget as $179 million. So should they bid it out? No question.
Right.
Bid everything out.
Everything.
And they didn't. They kept granting extensions.
Right.
And that can't happen and shouldn't happen. But the focus on something like that is like a deflection.
Well, no, but I'm talking the auto mechanic. I'm talking Sunday. I'm talking all of that stuff.
And they got them, thank God. And
right.
They should have paid restitution.
Exactly. How much have they not gotten?
Yeah. And it's issues like that definitely drain funds from the district. But if there's one issue that dwarfs literally everything, it's fair funding, as you just brought up.
So you said the budget this year is 175?
179.
179? What's the number you think it would take to run it properly?
179.
No, I actually. So
at least good enough.
All right. Let's say if I'm there, whack out a few million in wasteful spending.
Let's say I'm there and I can answer your question as a director.
Yeah.
I could do a lot of what they need to do with $179 million a year.
Yeah.
Especially because they have that $60 million stimulus.
Right.
So I believe that if I get elected, I can handle this contract, get teachers a decent contract, make sure we stop the hemorrhaging of good educators. I can make sure that we bring back music and art because, what the one thing the district has been doing is as these people leave, they don't replace half of them. So that's where they're saving money.
Yeah.
So their overhead's going down.
So with the step,
their overhead's collapsing.
So with the step program that teachers have and all that stuff. So if I leave the district, I left, I forgo anything that has to do with my contract negotiation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially everyone that leaves, Scranton School District's back at zero. So with the 60 million or whatever that we have, I don't think we can pour this into back pay.
No,
correct?
You can't. No.
Okay. So we can't pour it into back pay. How do you like resolve this?
So there's two things that the district did recently. So they have the $60 million, and they have $75 million that they issued in terms of capital improvement bonds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a loan that they took out, basically. So they've got all that money that I've just described. They can take that money and apply it to a lot of their necessary yearly expenses, which will free up money to do everything else that they need.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and it's not really that because it's all extra money.
Right.
So you look
Creative
at all that.
accountant.
Yeah, and the thing is that is simple. It's not a hard decision, and a lot of other districts are doing that exact same thing. And Scranton should do this because you're watching the district fall apart before your eyes. And as people with kids in the district, we want to make sure that our kids are the best.
Yeah.
Are you being hyperbolic about that, or are you being absolutely sincere that the district is falling apart in front of your eyes?
We're at a point where they would let us teach. It's falling apart.
Yeah, it's definitely falling apart.
But the thing is, it doesn't need to, and that's why we need good people there. So vote Tom Borthwick. Vote Danielle Chezik, vote Sean McAndrew, vote Ty Holmes. Like we all are on the same page about taking this money and investing it in our future.
No, I was just gonna, cause you what Micah you said. Why can't you teach?
I could.
Exactly.
He owns a business.
I know more about business marketing and history than quite a few people.
Because he made a statement, and I'm like, you are qualified.
I think he's being just
like, if you
facetious.
were not qualified to teach, then I can understand that. But you could teach.
So could you
teach.
So could you.
So could you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you go get a job at the Scranton School District?
Let's all go do it.
I'm gonna argue right now that if you don't have an actual background in education, it's gonna be way harder than you could teach.
I'm from the School of Hard Knocks. I'm fine.
First of all,
I'm from like
Brooklyn.
You're gonna
I
get
just found out a few years ago I never actually graduated college.
I thought you did.
Well, no, I didn't because so literally the week that I was taking my last round of finals was when we found out Phoenix was sick. And so I was like, I'm not paying this $400 to walk and get my diploma. I bailed. I just left.
Oh, shit.
And I had debt. I just left. And then a few years ago, I went back. I was like, hey, I want to finalize this. I want that piece of paper for the wall. They're like, actually, since then, we've changed the requirements for your degree. You owe us 3 more credits.
Whoa.
that's bullshit.
And I was like, you know what? I'm good.
Don't you sit on a board for a college?
Huh?
Don't you sit on a board for a college?
You don't need an education.
No, I know that.
Yeah, Bill Gates stands on is on a. Well, he rules the world.
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, those 3 credits are irrelevant.
Yeah.
What is it? What does it mean for the funding of the school district when you have so many parents taking their kids out of the school and putting them in charter schools and primary schools?
Yeah.
So that's
School
one of the reasons
choice.
why I'm so offended about the director who's advocating sending their kids to their daughter's kindergarten.
Who's doing that? Oh,
Bro. So every time that happens,
Hold on. I'm not going to let you walk.
Oh.
The director is advocating that people send kids to their Rose daughter's daycare.
Yeah. Yep.
publicly?
Yeah, I have the screenshot.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
Wait. Like on social media?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's unethical. I have a huge problem with her behavior. And I'm not afraid to say it publicly.
What about her drinking?
That is conflict of interest. That's like
It's terrible.
She should resign immediately.
Yeah. Well, the Times likes her, so probably not.
Isn't she Australian or something?
She's from Australia. Yeah.
You see how they do it there now. So
Man.
she'd be actually happy with all the kids home under lock and key under helicopter watch.
Yeah. So there's to your point. There's 2 things that I think are very important. We are losing a lot of kids to private schools and to charters.
They're tired of the bullshit, man.
Yeah.
These parents.
Yeah.
They are. And here's the 2 things about private schools and charters. Even with how awful the Scranton School District is right now in terms of what's going on, it still offers more than private schools and charter schools.
Really?
2 reasons. Yeah. So Commonwealth Cyber Academy.
Yeah, CCA.
That's the big one. Everyone's sending their kids there. They have no after school sports.
Wait. If I'm not mistaken, those kids can actually play sports in their school district.
Not in
can't they?
Scranton. Nope. No.
Just not everywhere else they can?
Nope. No, they can't. So because their charters don't provide it, they don't have it. So,
Or is that homeschool? If you homeschool, you can actually play sports.
I don't believe that's the
I think
case
so.
either.
I think
maybe
so.
homeschool
I
is.
think
It might be
homeschool, yes.
maybe it's
I
homeschool.
think if you homeschool, you can actually
Actually,
play in the
you know what?
district.
I stand corrected. Yes, because I know of an example of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Homeschool, yes. Charter, no.
I was right on the one, wrong on the. Okay.
Yeah, and private schools offer way less as well. They often don't prioritize things like the arts and music, like we were talking about. Obviously, prep doesn't have an orchestra. So you
do they need one?
What
So the choir of
private
angels.
school is this?
Oh yeah, they're choirs.
So you think about all that stuff, and Scranton already offers more. But what I think you need to do, because you're losing money. Every kid that leaves,
you're
there's
losing
a massive subsidy that is
Yeah.
gone. Like I said, I think it's about 14 for regular ed,
24
for
for
special ed. And it might be more now because that was the 2019 number. But Scranton started its own cyber charter, or cyber school, not cyber charter, and that's growing wildly. And the thing is, if you go to the Scranton Cyber School, you can participate in Scranton sports. And I think that's a great selling point. And I think what the Scranton School District should actually do is start advertising it as such. Like, hey, we offer, hey, you want an online experience? You want your kid to learn from home? Because some kids do actually learn better in that environment. And I learned that through the pandemic, through remote learning. Some of my students were better at it. So, okay, the parents want that for their kids. Great. Let's do that. But let's make sure that families know that Scranton's option is better. And Scranton
but when you say better, right? There are a lot of parents who are like, Johnny's not an athlete.
Well, I'm not even saying athlete. I'm saying
so
like
we can
hey,
bring him to the charter or the
astronomy club. Like, I'm sorry, there's
Debate, math, chess. There's just a lot.
Yeah, but they don't have debate
Course.
class.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
That's Scranton.
they have clubs for all that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, Scranton. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think Scranton's is award winning.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
You should go. Work
can they
with
do a
them.
civics club? I want everyone to have civics now.
that is required, and they do.
Yeah, but my
civics.
son took it last year during the pandemic,
and
so
was-
I had to help him through that.
Yeah,
Whew.
How much did you educate him versus?
I had to teach him everything he needed to know.
yeah. The pandemic was not great for. Any
No, but
form
I'm
of
saying like
education.
even the program, it was like I remember the one assignment I had to help him with, and I was like, oh, this is gonna get good, John Locke,
Ooh.
and I'm like, oh, here we go, and it was
I
like,
saw
okay,
him in a dream a couple weeks
yeah,
ago.
read this portion of one of his papers, and then the question had nothing to do with it.
Oh.
It was like it was just so disjointed. I'm like, this right here, like the piece that he was supposed to be learning is one of the seminal pieces of his writing. I mean, it is basically the whole treatise of how government is formed, how leadership is picked, and what we do when the leadership doesn't respond the right way. So this was in the middle of the shutdown when I had hit a point of, I'm tired of the government shutting us down. This makes no sense. I'm over it. I'm starting to use the word like tyranny and all this stuff, and and I'm going off on Wolf.
Revolution.
Yeah, and literally it was, if your elected government acts out of malice, fear, or to overstep their boundaries and impact your life in a negative way, you have the right to remove them. And I'm like, okay, we need to have a conversation about this, because what Tom Wolf did, and let's be real honest, is he reacted out of fear. It was fear over this virus. And again, rightfully so, when it all first came around, we were all like, what the hell is this zombie apocalypse coming our way? Well, then all of a sudden you start to kind of the fear blinders come off. And it's like, well, if it's safe to go to, I've said this 1,000 times, but if it's safe to go to Lowe's and Home Depot and shop for patio furniture, why is it not safe to shop for a Mother's Day gift at my store?
Yeah, that was one of the most offensive. Like
it was insanity.
Like I said,
And you have a great chance to teach kids a real life version of John Locke coming true 300 years later. And it was wasted. And this great lesson on civics was wasted.
Because the school that's funded by the certain that has participants from a certain union is going to be like, you can't say that.
I'm going to tell you right now, our that has nothing to do with our union.
Not yours, the national.
My national union didn't tell us what
evil.
to do about anything.
They're all evil. They're on the
I'm
pocketbooks.
sorry.
They're on the pocketbooks.
There's no. I'll release literally every email communication I had from my union. That had
They're
nothing.
not going to send it to you. You're low level.
Jesus Christ.
Wait, what are you saying? What are you saying they're evil about? Why are you saying they're evil?
This is all everything that's happened with the teachers, for the most part, has been not to benefit the teachers.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to do with the union.
They're the ones implementing all these things. They're the ones talking to the CDC. They're the ones. Yeah.
No, they're not. The
It's
CDC
what?
isn't talking to teachers.
Dude,
No.
the National Teachers Union has actually written policy for the CDC
Which is insane.
Which
in
one?
regards to COVID.
Which one?
I don't know which one specifically because there's so many goddamn different things.
You're all right.
Who's the head of the teachers union, the National Teachers Union?
I mean,
there's
the National
more than,
Teachers Federation, whatever they are.
There's more. So the AFT is Randy Weingarten.
She was the one who was writing stuff with the
Is Randy a
CDC.
she?
She.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know if it was Randall.
but
Wow.
I mean, but she could help write guidelines and stuff.
Word for word? What does the head of the teachers union know anything about pandemics?
If you are going to make a policy statement for
No, it was suggestions.
something, I understand. But if the CDC
Word
is going
for
to
word.
if the CDC is going to do this, they would probably talk to the
Why
head of
would
the
they?
teachers union.
Yeah.
Why would
Because that's what they do for a living.
I don't
It's
know.
like you coming to me and being like, "Hey, I might want to get some input on how to run a retail store."
Why don't we get to your next question?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think about the giants that live in Afghanistan?
I mean, are there
Wait,
like
what?
how do you define a giant? Like we're talking 7 feet?
He
Where was
thinks that
I
there's
for
like
this?
10-foot giants
Goliath.
that live
I don't think that.
in the
I said
hills
it's
of
possible.
Afghanistan.
I need a break.
I said it's
Everything's
I
possible.
think that was like minute bull.
Okay,
He
are
was
we
like
are
the
we
last-
about to get into?
No.
Can we get into the woods here in a
I,
minute?
I think that was.
Well, no.
Minute
What I'm
Bull.
saying
He
is,
was the
should we
last
take a
giant.
break and then get
I'm
into the
concerned-
woods?
I'm fine with taking a break. I got to take a leak.
Take a break.
We're an hour in. We'll take a break and then we want to get into it. Terrible.
So I was watching the.
Are we
debate.
recording? No,
We're always recording.
Oh, good, okay.
Always. Even outside.
Yeah, it's just easier for me to find the edit points. I was watching the debate, and one of the things that really struck me is that there's only one black teacher in the whole school district.
Mr. McLeod, he's a great guy. Yes.
I didn't want to out him.
Great dude.
Wait, there's only one black teacher in the entire Scranton School District?
Yes.
And like, and
What?
And
Welcome to Scranton.
in a union with 900 people, one black male. Yeah, so that's a huge problem because you're dealing with. So Scranton is obviously the most diverse district in Northeast PA, and
I think you got Montrose beat. Yeah,
Montrose
what
is
about
definitely not nearly so
Stroudsburg?
diverse as Scranton.
Stroudsburg? No.
No, not even close.
Really?
There's a huge immigrant and a huge refugee population in
Well,
Scranton.
yeah, the Nepali.
Huge.
Yeah.
And so, the staff is not diverse even remotely. And they asked us at the debate / really what was a forum. It was supposed to be a debate, but it was
I'd
a
like
forum.
to talk about that too.
Yeah, we can add that to the list.
Okay.
But they ended up the district they don't do outreach. And my response at the forum was to say, look, if you have a crappy teacher's contract, you're not going to convince anyone to work for you, let alone a qualified minority.
Right.
And because what I had suggested was like, hey, if you want minorities to work for the Scranton School District, let's start advertising in areas where they live, like Philadelphia or New York, and let's say like, hey, come to Scranton, where the standard of living, you're going to have a good standard of living, but the cost of living is significantly lower.
Right.
And a lot of us know that there are people, especially because of the pandemic and work from home, people were leaving North Jersey, they were leaving New York, they were leaving Philly,
droves, yeah.
and they were coming here, and you can't. Like developers can't build apartments fast enough. So people are moving here, but no one's going to move here for a $38,000 a year master's level job where you're in charge of the well-being of 150 children over the course of the day. That's why I would say, earlier you were like, you could teach. The reason it's not as easy as just saying you could teach just because you have something to offer, which I know you do. It's deeper.
I don't think any of us can handle a day.
It's deep,
exhausting.
it's deeper.
No.
The teaching.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teaching is so.
For all those that thought we
nuanced.
were going to be educators.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think we're going to.
because the thing is, it's not just I'm teaching Shakespeare. I'm also thinking, okay, all 150 of these kids that are going to walk through my doors are individuals who have problems that I don't know about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be responsible for a huge chunk of those kids.
Right.
And that if one of them flags or fails, it's my legal responsibility to start investigating it and to dealing with it and to talking to guidance and to calling their parents. Like I have legal responsibilities, and what happens when one stays after class and tells me about some sort of personal issue? That happens all the time.
Wait, is that true? You have a legal responsibility to those
Yeah,
children?
we're mandated reporters. Yeah, we're mandated reporters. So if
there's like troubles at home or
if we even
mental health
suspect, yeah, we legally have to,
Okay.
or
I
we
thought-
are criminally liable.
I thought you would have been criminally liable for the fucking up of their education.
I mean, we might as
I'm
well
like,
be.
man,
for
why
that
don't
too.
we that?
But
I never heard of
so,
that.
So there's a lot that goes into it. So for Scranton to be like, hey, you're only worth $38,000, even though you have a master's and also are responsible for all this, and also if you screw it up, you're going to go to jail. Like people are like, you know what, I might pass on that. So Scranton needs to give a decent contract.
What's the salary
38,000.
So no, I'm saying like what you propose.
Yeah, what's the good number?
What's the good number? What you
I mean,
proposing?
honest to God, if you have a master's and you want to start your first year, Abington starts, I believe, at 58.
I was going to
That's
say,
what I
with a
figured.
master's, you
Has
should
to
not
be.
be under 50. That's insane.
Yeah, so 58, which is what Abington starts at, would be.
But the master's, it shouldn't be like you get the job because you have a master's. There is a vetting process.
You're actually required to have a master's degree or equivalent, or you can't be a teacher.
Really?
Wait. In the Scranton School District,
In
Really?
Pennsylvania,
Wow.
you have to have a master's?
or an equivalent, or you are, or you.
What do you mean an equivalent?
So like either a master's or the 30 credits of a master's.
like the CEO.
Like you're on your way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you just had to have a teaching license.
No, you can start, but you can't stay if you don't get it. You got 5 years after you get your job to get the
Yeah,
master's.
so while you're in your
So it's
first
like-
5 years of teaching, you're
you
now
then have to
taking
blow
school.
another 40
Continue
grand
again,
to get a
yeah.
master's to keep your job.
or you could do like this, the CEUs or whatever they call them, the credit.
Yeah, and you still have to pay for it. It's still expensive and time consuming. Yeah, teaching is not like the most ideal profession. And
It's
you
a calling. It's
Yeah.
not
It
just
is,
something
and
you
I
do
love
for a
it,
job.
and
Yeah.
and I do. And the only thing I want to say, I love teaching my students. Everything else, I hate. Everything else, I hate.
Yeah.
That's
Just love teaching.
That's
It's the
cool.
only thing I love.
I mean,
Well, and that's the ideal teacher.
that
That's
shouldn't
what
be
you
your
want.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be your
But
responsibility.
actual
politics.
teaching is such a small percentage of my job these days. And that's
That's why.
why people are like, okay, I'll just go do something else.
Wow.
Especially
No.
in Scranton, where you're not even paid for it.
I was just gonna say that shouldn't be your responsibility. Your responsibility is to teach.
Yeah.
Right. Everything else. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we all got to get involved. Like, if your
Yeah.
parents, especially if you're not a parent, you could get involved. But it's not. Everything shouldn't rest on the teacher. It should be like a community thing. I mean, I come from like a country where
Of Ghana.
Oh, crap.
I got it right. I didn't want to say Africa this time.
like where it's a community thing. Like, I mean, I remember it's like was it age 10 or whatever, walking home after school, and this guy from nowhere that I don't really know pulls me to the side, started questioning me.
Was it
like,
Joe Biden?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
Asking
You're
me
nothing.
asking me questions and asking me my multiplication table and things like that, right?
Was this on a
I'm not-
playground?
I'm not related to this guy. You know what I'm saying? But
You almost got kidnapped.
I hate to tell you, man.
You're telling us like it's a sweet story from your childhood, and
No,
I'm telling
no,
you,
but
you almost got kidnapped.
You avoided
that was-
murder.
No. It was a good thing. I mean, initially, like that,
The kidnapping was great. I learned a lot about myself.
that
I'm
age 10,
resilient.
That age 10, like I was thinking to myself, like, you're not my dad. You know what I'm saying? But later, honestly, like,
Dude, you got to change how you're telling this story, man. We are totally convinced you almost got kidnapped.
I get where he's coming
after
from.
I grew up, I'm like,
Was he driving a white van?
So I think what I was just trying to say is my money going to the right thing, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, so this guy, like, I mean, I think about it now, and I'm like, he meant well for me. Like,
Sure.
he wanted to make sure that I'm staying in school. And he wanted to make sure that I'm doing well. And I mean, I remember like you do things right, and people will pull you by your your shirt and take you home.
Yeah.
And things like that. We don't do that here. Everything falls on the teacher.
Well, it's because everything's a lawsuit now.
Exactly.
I was-
Everything
so-
falls on the teacher.
I was thinking, you said this earlier.
Could you imagine one of us walking up to a stray kid and being like, "Hey, let's talk about math"?
a what kid?
A stray kid.
Oh, I think it's straight.
No, stray. just a random.
What do you
child
know about
molestation.
math, Petey?
No, but like, I mean, if something like that happened now, they're calling the cops.
Yeah, no,
You-
exactly.
I mean,
So,
it's,
I mean,
that
it's a
hurts.
different
Like,
world.
That hurts. Like, it really breaks my heart. Like what I witnessed today at that school, the elementary school that I went to today. I mean, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, really? It just breaks my heart.
So I was thinking about you saying that earlier, and what I wanted to bring up is that you think the parents should get involved. I agree with you. I think that the parents should, but I think we come from a place of like the past where it was a one income family. You could have the mother would stay home and
Right.
raise the kids, and the dad would go out and work.
Grandparents, yeah.
And I think it's just now that you have to have like a 2-income household, and money's always. I think that you're a different breed of person because of your background. I think Scranton is a place where you get very apathetic and you get very sad. And I don't think that it translates well to like being a well-rounded parent all the time, or an engaged parent, or an involved parent. How many times you see parents at the school board meetings? How many times you see parents when you have parent-teacher conferences? How many students do you have versus how many parents show up?
Yeah, so for me, I think sometimes it's zero.
Right.
But I think a lot of them, because a lot of them don't care.
No.
Like,
But that's
honestly,
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, a lot of them.
But why don't
care.
they care?
I don't.
They don't
know.
care about their kids.
I think
or maybe
so.
they have other shit to worry
I
about.
think so.
Yes.
That's probably where it's at.
That probably big time too. Like
Do you think parents don't care about their kids?
Oh, I don't. I think so.
It dives into work ethic.
My sister has a
speaking
daycare.
for the majority.
My sister,
Yeah, well, the majority.
A
my sister has a
quantifiable amount of
daycare,
people.
right? My sister has a daycare. She's had it for like 8-10 years now. And,
Which one? Where's it at? Can you say?
Plug.
yeah. Christian childcare is in is it Kaiser Oak Street?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen some of the things that she's done, and I know that some of the families that come in, the backgrounds and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm like, my heart breaks every single time. And I'm like, man, thank God that my sister is in, their lives.
I
And
look,
my heart breaks. And
all of our hearts break.
and it's like, not to say it, but you get a parent that would get much, like we were talking about what that tax credit that parents got, was it $3,000 or something? And I remember saying, none of these parents probably spend that money on their kids. They bought Jordans and they bought something else. And I mean, it is a fact.
Yeah.
It is a fact.
Not all of them, but I'm sure somewhere in the receipt.
Majority, especially like when you go to the schools that have like, predominantly underprivileged kids. Okay. My church did something with I think Isaac Tripp or Charles Sumner, a couple of schools around, and we bought shoes for all the kids.
Oh, wow.
We bought shoes for all the kids. We've done it where we buy like, bags, all of that, winter jackets. The reason we did that is because a lot of these parents don't care. I'm like a lot of these parents don't care.
Do you think that they don't care, or they're in the midst of trauma?
Well, no, I don't think he's necessarily wrong, but I don't think that's a new story. I mean, I think if you look back throughout history,
That's true. Yeah.
it's always, there's always been a certain portion of the population where the parents' world revolved around them.
Right.
I mean, it's just you hear the stories of the Dickensian orphanages, and it's like it's
What's that, Dickensian orphanages?
Yeah,
I never heard of those.
I'm very excited that you said Dickensian. I'm just throwing that out there.
yeah. Hey, I've read a book.
Congratulations, you have now earned Tom's respect. Continue.
No, but I mean, it's true. Like that's always been there. It's not a new phenomenon. It just looks a little different now.
But I think it's getting more and more.
Yeah.
It's getting more and more. Like,
well, but also we're being hounded with this idea that the family is not important. It's part of our culture now.
Yeah.
That the family, the nuclear family is not important, or at least not as important as it used to be.
I think
Not at all.
you're hitting something.
And that's part of like the westernization. Like, again, I'm going to allude to Greece. So like Greeks in America.
Do you know any other fucking country?
Shut up.
Here we go.
Greeks in America are Greeks of 1950s.
No.
Yes. Let's go.
Were we just waiting?
No, but it's coming.
He had it cute. He had it cute. So
Death taxes and Alex talking about Greece.
So there you go. So anyway, so we're the Greeks of 1950 in America. We do Sunday dinner. We go to church. We do all this stuff. When your parents are old, they move into the house, whatever. America and Greece now. Greece, they got neck tattoos. They don't give a shit about Sunday dinner. I go to my cousin's wedding.
Neck tattoos. That's the big example.
Yes.
So they have tattoos everywhere, whatever. I go to my cousin's wedding. Everyone's outside.
Let it
And
go.
I'm like, yo, are there 2 weddings? And they're like, no. And I'm like, why the fuck is everyone outside? Because they don't care about it. They don't care about their family. When their parents...
Greeks don't care about their families?
Not in Greece anymore.
like they used to.
Not anymore.
Oh.
So that's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
So they wait for their parents to hit retirement, and they're like, all right, cool. I'm going to go be friends with them again, and they're going to pay my way.
so
and,
they can get.
and all that shit. But, regardless of any of that, I think it doesn't matter what class you are, how much income you are. Certain parents just don't care about their kids. I mean, you could see it in Waverly. You could see it in Southside.
Yeah. But it just makes it harder on the teachers. And
Oh, yeah.
like, I have a lot of
Yeah,
respect for
because
you
you got to
guys.
play parents.
I do. I have a lot of respect for you guys. Like, I always tell my sister all the time, I'm like, man, I don't know. Because sometimes I go in and help her. Like when she doesn't have staff, she'll call me to come
Were you
help.
like driving buses last week or something?
I drive, and then sometimes I actually watch the kid.
Do you honk at people?
And And was it last week was like one of those days, and she called me and she goes, okay, so when you get back after picking up the kids, gather all the school age kids and have them do stuff and things like that.
Teach them about economics.
I'm trying, and I'm like, let's read a book, and somebody's jumping off a wall, and I'm like, they're going crazy. And
you were yelling at children?
I was Christian. No, I was yelling at myself inside. Like, what the hell is happening? And then I sat back and I'm like, man, you know what? Teachers do a great job, and I think we put
some do.
Some.
And I think we put
Tom
a lot.
Does.
We put a lot of.
Yeah.
We put a lot of
you.
stuff. We put a lot of stress on them, right? We put a lot of stress. But parents, I know I'm hitting on that, but I think parents really got to get involved. I heard the other day, at one of the schools, I'm not going to mention the school, but there was a kid. This was like either second grade or third grade. The kid was drawing a picture of somebody giving somebody a blowjob and showing it to another person.
That's awesome.
And I'm sitting there. I heard the story.
Wait, what grade was this?
I think it was second or third grade.
Is it your kid? Are you just making sure it's not your kid? I'm just trying to make sure it wasn't mine. Was it Dan's kid?
Jesus.
Dan.
Right.
My kid just draws squids,
And-
so we're all good.
Oh, so all dicks.
Yeah.
And I
Wait a minute.
He's more to the tentacle side of that
I drew
world.
you with 8 dicks.
I heard that. And I didn't go straight. I mean, that is.
I can't even draw someone giving a blowjob, and I'm 41.
I went
This kid's
straight.
amazing.
That is parenting. What is that kid seeing at home?
What?
Well, dude,
What are you allowing that kid to watch?
Kelly went to Roba's, and there's like 10-year-old kids dropping the F-bomb or like running at each other, like doing that. I'm
Because
like, wow.
right in
Using
the
it
car.
correctly.
Right in the car.
Also, it's very
Parents are
simple.
like just saying it
Yeah, but
and just dropping it.
not to make it weird, and you might have to bow out of this simply because you are an educator. But when I was a kid and I did something wrong, my parents would beat me.
Oh yeah.
Not beat me as in like a punch me in the face, but like there was punishments for behavior.
Yeah.
Shoes,
totally.
spoons,
It stopped.
tree branches, everything.
It stopped somewhere along the line. It stopped. Oh, Dan's drawing.
Wow.
No, but like
Dan, you draw like a third grader.
so I have a theory on this, and this not to take it to a dark place, but I have a theory. You go back to when we were in middle school, high school. I don't know how old you are, Tom. I'm going to guess you're about our age.
39.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
you're
exact
in-
same
you're
age.
in our group, yeah.
So you go back to when we were in middle school, high school, the good old time of the 90s. There was a seminal event that happened that changed school forever in
Columbine.
Columbine.
Kirk Cobain?
It changed everything. And it never happened before that. You would hear stories from the 50s and 60s of somebody said they were going to come to the school and cause a problem. And you see these images, these pictures from back in the day, black and whites, of a teacher and a kid that grabbed their guns from the truck and sat there at the door and were like, this isn't happening. But all of a sudden, Columbine happens, and now it's happening way too much on a regular basis.
Columbine was different because it was live.
Well,
Right.
and that's the thing.
But
But
it was the first live one.
what happened? What
Yeah.
big thing happened that changed that? And I think it was a little bit of the change in the culture. I mean, listen, when I was a kid, if I had a problem with another student, we met outside behind
Oh, you
the
shoot the
barn,
fair one, yeah.
and we just have a fight, and it was done. And I think I could be crazy, and right now I'm speaking in circles, but like you go back to when we were younger, there was an element of accountability. There was accountability at home. There was, because of punishment, there was accountability at
My
school.
dad will beat my ass. Remember
There
that?
was accountability.
Your neighbor will whoop your
Yeah.
behind and take you home. Take you home.
That's the neighborhood side that I saw.
I experienced that, and I mean, sorry to bring, but like,
And that's
you know,
because you
you're
get the
looking at
math questions wrong.
you're looking at Proverbs.
2 plus 2
so-
equals 5. Just getting it.
So not kidding. Like,
Oh, stay on topic,
but-
man. I know you're bourbon happy.
no. Like I think 6, 7, 8. So we used to do this thing in Ghana, right? If they did it here in the States,
Oh,
if they did it here in the States, I think everybody.
we're friends. It's funny.
I think if they did it here in the States, man, everybody would go nuts. But it's called mental, right? Where
it's called mental.
yeah, that's what we used to call it. So basically, and I'll explain it. And what it is, that's the first thing you do when you get to school, like after the assembly, whatever, and you get to class. And you get a class.
And is it basically like a class to let you just kind of like get it out of your system?
It's you get a class, and the first thing the teacher does it starts asking
What are you playing over there?
playing African music.
The first the teacher
asked
does
me for
is
it.
start asking questions, and you got to be able to
getting canceled, Dan.
answer, right? You got to be able to
What
answer
kind of
that
questions?
question. Like anything, like math, like
So it's just kind of like a free for all.
Yep, and you always, and that allowed me.
That's like Jeopardy for kids.
It's like it's like Jeopardy.
that seems
And
like a great idea.
and that allowed me, but it was scary in a way, because if you don't answer, you get punished.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm saying?
What
But-
kind of punishment?
Oh, anything from you
got hips?
You got whooped.
What?
You got whooped.
Listen,
You got whooped and all that.
retract my. That's a good
when,
idea.
when my parents
I'm all
sent
for
me,
accountability, but that sounds a little bit like cruel
that's what I'm
punishment.
saying. But like I look back, it made me always ready, even though I hated it. Right? I mean, I didn't get a lot of beating because I was always ready. Right? But I stayed up. I studied. I was always ready. I was always ready to walk into that class, and I don't care
have
what
the
that
answer.
I
Right.
don't care what that teacher threw at me. Right? And but
Could
that
you
made
imagine
me-
Tom going to the school board and be like, okay, I have an idea.
But
Part of my
Hold
plan
on,
is
Beat
this.
the kids.
yeah. No,
They're
what
not
if
fast enough.
What if we made Squid Game like a real life school thing?
yes.
Yeah,
That's my new platform.
Yeah.
I have
That's my new platform.
I have a question for what. So right before we were talking about the parent teacher conferences, what does it do to the morale of the teachers when parents seem to not show up?
Oof.
When
So
you're like, I care more
there-
about your kid than you.
two schools of thought on that. Man. All right. So I guess the most honest answer I can give you is that 99 times out of 100, we find dealing with parents to be a huge pain in the ass. And I don't know if I should or shouldn't say that, but I don't care. So I think a lot of times when we deal with a kid who has an issue, we'll tell the parent, and very often the parent is not on our side because we need them
Not
to be
my
on our
kid.
Yeah. That's a huge issue for us. And I could tell you I'm dealing with this shit right now in my career. You're trying to tell this parent hey, your kid needs this, and this, and the parent's not interested in hearing it. So if the parent shows up, you're just going to get into another fight that gets nowhere. If the parent doesn't show up, it saves you the fight. So on one hand, you think, okay, I've been
And
saved,
still, the kid doesn't move forward.
but the kid will never move forward.
Right.
So on one hand, you're like, ugh. On the other hand, there have been sometimes when a parent comes in for a kid who needs that parent to come in. And actually, you know what? I'll give you a good example. The best families for that are like my English as a second language families who you can't call them and talk to them. But
They come in, but their child translates for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is the best. And actually, and that's not even a criticism. Those families show up.
Yeah.
Hispanic families, in my experience, they show up.
because they come from such backgrounds.
Yes.
They show up.
So
And if you give a bad review, that kid's getting a beating.
And well,
But let me-
I don't know about
They're
that.
old school.
Yes.
But let me ask
I'm
you
not
a
going to
question.
speak to beatings, but
But let me ask you a question.
Not that you know of.
Is
not that I know of.
it seems culturally
Culturally speaking.
that's a benefit.
Well, I remember.
So if it's like I'm not opposed to hitting dogs. I'm opposed to beating
Wow.
an animal. I'm opposed to that out of anger or whatever, but if the dog's jumping on people, you tap it on the butt. Hey, don't do that. I'm not opposed to that because it's a quick I've learned it. I don't have to explain the socioeconomic reasons why you can't jump on somebody who's holding a glass of wine, right? To my dog.
Are we talking about the school director again?
No, we're not talking. Nice callback, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there a benefit to that? In other words, have we almost regressed in a way?
Yeah, so I'm not.
How did this turn into? Is it okay to hit your kid?
Yeah, so I don't even. I'm not
sounds
even.
right.
Well, because we were just
There's
talking
no-
about.
but Proverbs 13:24 talks about it. It says, "Spare the rod and spoil the child."
Yeah.
Right. So there's some appropriateness to it.
You don't need to beat a kid. You can mentally beat the kid. You don't have to
There's a
physically.
measure.
I
So
think
you don't
that's-
have
I
to
think
be
it's mentally. That perfectly explains my approach to parenting and my wife's approach to parenting. Me, I'd rather be like, "What are you doing? What's wrong with you?" And she'd be like, "Okay, let me tell you about how, as your mother, I no longer feel like I'm good enough, and so I should probably leave." It's like you're gonna give these kids with serious mental problems.
I'm not going to hit you now.
So
I'll just pay
doesn't
for the
listen to
therapy
this.
later.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you right off the bat,
I'm not advocating for it. I'm
No,
just saying
I know.
that we've lost a thing where it's
Should
like
we?
you're
But
not
I think-
afraid.
Should we
but I think
advocate
that's part
for
of-
it?
I think to some extent not. But if you're being abusive, that is
That's
different.
different.
Yes, and I think we took that away to the point where, now kids could just tell you off. You have kids drawing whatever at that age,
Like-
whatever,
like
because
this? There's no respect.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
mean,
respect. Like Rodney
yeah.
Dangerfield. Like every kid now, every parent now is Rodney Dangerfield.
I've got 2 kids, and they're 4 and 2, and I don't beat them, and I can.
Do you
I can-
mentally?
Actually,
Actually, mentally
yeah,
degrade them.
I probably, yeah, that's.
But I mean,
Listen.
that's an issue where it's like there's no
so-
discipline at home. So why would they feel like they have to follow the?
But like to your original point, which is about how that relates to teachers, like
I'd be beaten, man. I'd be destroyed. I'd go home at night and I'd just be like
go
what?
teach-
It
go
just
teaching
seems. It
God-
seems
go
just.
teaching
It just
Ghana.
seems like a futile endeavor
well,
to some degree.
I first of all I teach juniors and seniors, so beatings
They
aren't.
passed
They,
that.
sh-
They
they
passed
should
that
have been.
stage.
There's no
beaten.
beatings
They
that
should
Those are
have.
street fights.
They shouldn't anyway. But the thing is, like, you got, especially the Hispanic families. I remember this one family came in.
I think that's
and
beautiful that they.
The kid
show
had to
up.
tell me.
Oh, yeah.
The kid had to apologize to me. His mother spoke, and I can understand a little Spanish just because Italian is similar enough, and I know a little bit of that. But he's like, my mother wants me to tell you that I'm very sorry for my behavior, and the kid had to translate his apology for failing, and the kid was mortified, and the kid did better, and
So
you can't-
shame.
yeah, well, but a lot of my Hispanic families are like that, and that's great in parental involvement. So those are the good kinds of parental, like parent-teacher conference interactions. But most teachers that you're going to talk to are going to find them to be negative because a lot of
Do parents come in with almost like a chip on their shoulder?
it's the Karen phenomenon,
Really?
and it's like
The Karen phenomenon.
Tom doesn't know what he's doing. He's a horrible
You
teacher. He's
are the
only been
pro-
teaching
You
for
didn't call
17
me-
years.
Well, like I'll give you a good example. So it's like, you didn't call me enough to tell me that my student was failing. Yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, but you know what? You have access to all his grades. I published them. You could just look.
Yeah.
You could just look. You could look any day of the week. Also, I sent you these 3 emails. Like, yeah, but you didn't call me. Okay.
You didn't mark them urgent.
Yeah, honest to God.
Because if your kid's grades were a priority, you would have logged it and looked.
And
Yeah.
versus
How long
me
does it
having
take to log
chase you
in?
down. As long as it takes you to log into Facebook.
yes, that.
I mean,
So once a week for 5 minutes, you can check in on your kid.
yeah.
And learn everything that they're doing on multitudes of levels. There's no privacy for students when it comes to their grades and what they're doing. Not one student has 1 iota of privacy. So if you want to be involved parent, you know literally everything.
But he or she will be like on Facebook fighting with somebody else over something stupid.
The parent,
and spend hours
yeah.
doing that.
And
But they
or
can't spend
TikTok.
5 minutes,
Yeah.
right, to check emails, to go log into because I didn't even know they had all of that. Like my daughter, like we get all these things where you could check everything she did throughout the day.
And
And
that's
to me, I thought it was like it was even too much because
It's
I don't
too-
need to know.
I
feel
also
like
think
as
it's
a
too
parent,
much.
But
I
it's
don't
nice
need
to
to
know
know.
that if you want, but you should participate in your child.
well, it covers teachers. So no parent can say you didn't do your job. Like, yeah, I updated my grades. I did all this. I did this, and this. If you didn't check it, that's on you. And that's kind of where education is now. And so it is stressful as a teacher to deal with like parents who don't care. Is it a wholly negative experience? No.
So
But-
why don't they take some of that money at the Scranton School District that they're going to be getting, that $60 million, and put it to like, I don't know, like marketing, to say here's the things that you need.
Right.
Like I see ads for people who get like Italian of the Year, but I don't see anything about like how to be a participant. That's not a knock at anybody
Right.
who won that.
No.
I'm just saying whoever
No,
that
I
group
was just,
is,
I was
if they
just
have
waiting
money
on
for that.
Alex to announce his new Greek of the Year award.
No, we don't
They
have
give it out
that.
every day.
There's not enough of us.
Like there's
Wait,
no
incentivize parents?
John
Is that what you're
Stamos.
talking?
no, just to inform them.
Yeah.
Even if it's an ad or
Hey,
something like
this
that
is
from
what
the
we're
school
doing.
district to say, hey, did you know that you?
So-
I've seen 8 million vaccine fucking ads that I never approved or
Right.
wanted to pay for. But if they can go, hey, did you know that you can sign into scranton.edu/child
So-
grades? You can check your kids' grades
So here's
every day.
the thing.
That would
I
be
have
smart.
I have a daughter who's going to be 3, and I'm going to start putting her into the school system. Do you know what the last thing on my mind is? Scranton. I'm like, are we going to go to Elm Park? Are we going to go to Red Barn? Are we going to go to OLP? Where are we going to go? Scranton? No. I'm like, nah, no thank you.
So my point is that Alex is going to be not involved in his kids' thing to the degree. I'm kidding.
No. But like that's the thing.
How
I don't know any of this for Scranton. I don't know shit that Scranton has.
But they need to do a better job on their image.
I agree with you 100%.
They need to stop making babies.
Like Scranton School District to me is I pay.
Is that true? I guess.
I'm getting mad for saying that Ghana doesn't have a lot of food, but he's talking about genocide, and I can't.
No, I mean,
and you're mad at me.
No, but I do get
I'm not mad at it.
seriously.
I love everything.
Do you work for the
man.
Gates Foundation?
No, when it comes to education, because I guess because of my background and everything, and the way I was brought up, and having family that
We get it. You're more educated.
like
The beating.
no, it's not.
The
It's not
beating.
about.
You know what it's like? It's like sitting with a vegan.
No, it's not about that. But like
What do you mean? No shit.
How do you know you're in a room?
education, like
How do you
I
know
was a
you're in a
CrossFitter
room
over
with
here.
that
Education is
agreed
so-
to
Hold
vegan?
on. Let him talk.
Education is so important to me, right? Education,
Sure.
and I think every parent should be like you need to be so involved. So like I tell everyone that my daughter changed me, because as soon as she came into this world, I was like, holy crap. Now I got to be responsible for somebody, and I need to raise somebody
Yeah.
Amen
that
to that.
needs to be an asset to
It's a
society
scary thing.
and not a liability. So then I started looking at some of my flaws and some of the things that I did, and I changed. And I tell even my daughter, I tell her all the time that, you know what, you made me better. So like when I see these parents and like I started picking up kids for my sister's daycare, and you walk into the the schools and in the parking lot, and 5-year-old, 7-year-old in the car, and mom, dad screaming, F word, all of these fighting. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you're doing that in front of the kid? And you know what I'm saying? You're going to grow. Then it's going to be a cycle, right? And it keeps going, and you can't break that. You have kid drawing that. I actually heard this kid, 6 years old, telling me, I like this boy, and it's okay for him to have 2, 3, 4 girlfriends, and he could cheat on me, and that's okay.
They don't even understand that concept at that
So
age.
that,
Like,
and
Jesus.
I started asking myself,
I blame Cardi B.
like, how did you even
Disney.
How did you even come across that, and to know that you could have a
This is
boyfriend
weird.
that could cheat and could have
because they canceled Baby It's Cold Outside, but WAP was
Yeah.
number 1 for weeks.
Bro, at 6 years
That's
old,
why.
I didn't even know what my dick was.
It all boils down, and not to just keep harping on it, it all boils down to culture.
Yeah.
And what Marky just said is like a pivotal concept in this whole idea. In our culture, we've started talking about how, we're knocking down the family unit. We're knocking down fathers. I mean, it's been happening, not to get too weird with it, but it's been going on since we were kids. I mean, you just watch The Simpsons, and it's Bart's the cool kid because he's making fun of everybody, and Homer Simpson's an idiot.
Mhm.
And then you look at what's happened with music, like you were just saying, like literally they canceled Baby It's Cold Outside, but WAP was the number 1 song for weeks last year.
Mhm.
And it's like we are starting to praise the things that used to be not praised.
You can like both.
Yeah, but you
Or
can't. But
you
you can't say culturally, like you can't get together and have a movement to be like, man, that song is offensive. Baby, It's Cold Outside. But there's a whole group of people who are like, wet ass pussy is not what I really want my kids listening to.
I mean,
Like Baby Is Cold Outside is very innocuous compared to wet ass pussy.
both of them you can like or dislike.
We should
like
be
them.
able to have it all.
But
Yeah,
what I'm saying is
choose.
this: you can like them, but certain things, even though certain things aren't appropriate for kids.
Yeah, but
Well,
then,
but
but,
yeah,
then,
sure.
but then also you have kids who are like, man, I'm listening to WAP, and my parents are just like, we can't listen to Baby It's Cold Outside anymore. Like, what
I'm
does that
saying-
do psychologically?
But that's where it
to you?
became a problem. Is as soon as the parents kind of come out of the mix, as soon as that strong nucleus family unit comes out of the mix, you want to know
I agree
why
with that
a kid,
1,000%.
why a kid in the 2nd grade is drawing a picture of somebody getting a blowjob. That's because they have full range access to Pornhub. That's why. All they have to do is
Jesus
get on their
Christ.
phone and
We
go on
do.
Pornhub.
I mean, we didn't have
We can't
that.
ignore it. I mean,
we didn't
they
have
do.
that.
I mean, it just is what it is.
I mean, we were kids. It was AOL, and you had to get a JPEG, and it was
Not
only
even. You had to go
200
find the
kilobytes.
magazine out in the woods.
listen,
I feel
listen.
like you guys are-
Dan, it took 12 minutes to download a single blurry image of anything.
Listen,
We just
it
got too
is-
lazy for porn when we were
No,
kids. Like,
it's
this
not.
takes forever.
It's not that we got lazy. It's people are making the wrong decisions.
Right.
An adult cannot go to a restaurant in New York City right now if they don't have a certain shot, but a kid can access porn regularly. That's a problem. Why? Like we have vilified so many things, yet we are giving people ease of access to all these other things that are very detrimental to children.
Sure. And it's okay.
And you want to know why it's going wrong? It's going wrong because we've let the culture go wrong. And there's certain things about the culture that are very, very good. But when parents are letting their kids listen to...
You're talking about parenting.
I'm talking about parenting.
As the problem, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's insanity.
Yeah, parents got to wake up. So, couple of months ago, my daughter wanted, she doesn't have like any of these social media stuff. And there was a reason for it. But then she wanted some of the things. So she wrote an email to myself and her mom. In the email, she explained, and she said, it's okay if you guys say no, but as a 13-year-old, she's 14. 14-year-old, there's certain things that I think I need or I would love to have, right? And I think it was like Instagram and something like that. And then she went on talking about all the bad things about Instagram, but then she also talked about all the good things about Instagram. And she said...
Basically like a cost-benefit analysis.
Wow. She did that. And then she said, over the years, I've proven to you guys that I'm responsible. And here are some of the things that I could do to be responsible. But at the end of the day, it's your decision to make. So if you say I can't have it, it's okay. If you say I could have it too, great. How do I say no to that?
Bro, can your child raise my child? Like,
but how do I say no to that?
But you've raised a good child.
But that's what I'm talking about, because I was so intentional. And we are split family. So we are split family. And I was worried when she was like 2, 3. And I was like, man, like the American culture and everything, and having a split family, this is going to be crazy and everything. But then I sat back and I'm like, you know what? Like what I was saying, I want to raise a child that is not going to be a liability to society. That's going to be an asset. So how can I be intentional in her life? Like I used to go to like parent-teacher conference and ask for more homework. And the teacher would look at me and said, oh no. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. I said, I'm serious. And they're like, oh, they do a lot of work. I said, wait, she's 7? What work?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, over the weekend, we want them to have a break. I said, she's 7.
Is Asha a tiger mom?
No, I'm not. But wait, but she does. Like she plays, she goes, she does other events and everything. It's like, but the thing is, I'm more intentional in her life. And I think that is where, like, I love when the teachers like send me emails and they tell me things about her and they say, oh man, she did this and it's great. And I follow up with them. It's amazing. And I love her teachers being involved in their life and everything, but I don't leave it to them. I'm also part of it.
I think
I communicate with the teachers.
I think it's a mindset thing, and I think a lot of people don't have the mindset. If here's the thing with this new group of people, with you, Ty, Heather, Sean, I got all 4 right.
No, Danielle.
Chesick.
I said Heather.
Heather's on my team.
Heather's,
that's right.
Heather's Alex's.
Well, I'm gonna
Council
look.
Crew.
I'm just gonna look like
Is
a sexist now.
is that even a team?
No,
Asha,
I'm just gonna look like a sexist
enough,
now.
Asha.
What does that have to do with sexism?
Well, just because I got the wrong woman, I feel bad. I feel bad because I named the wrong girl.
Anyway,
whatever. That's my
moving
cross
along.
to
We
bear.
all love you.
Moving along.
What are some of the what are some of the things that you like? Do you guys agree on a lot of stuff and disagree on a few things?
So
In other words, like if you're like, here's the quick things that we want to implement as fast as possible to overrule whatever majority is there now.
Is it going to be red team, blue team versus who's there now?
Let me start with actually just giving you an example of when I got on the board in 2019. One group put me on there, and there was a majority, and that majority put me on there, and then there was a minority. And I voted my conscience the whole time. So I often voted against the majority and with the minority on issues that I disagreed with. So like the payroll tax thing. At the time, I thought it was a good idea. I voted against the majority. The recovery plan, a couple of the people who put me on the board were like, nope, not interested in the recovery plan, but I voted for it at the time. And so my point is, me, Ty Holmes, Danielle Chezik, Sean McAndrew, we can talk to each other and get along with each other and disagree with each other and still not have a problem with each other. So that's the best part of government. You know, when you can exchange ideas and still be on different pages. Now, are we very far off? No, I don't think we're very far off. I think we have a huge problem with the way that the district has been going. I think that we are against all of the constant cuts to these arts programs that we spoke about. We are against the fact that teachers are being treated so poorly and are engaging in an exodus in the district, and we want to rectify that. So if we wanted to talk about what are our priorities, our priorities are that we want to make sure that teachers are treated fairly and that we give people a decent wage so that we have good people teaching our kids. Mm-hmm. That's probably a number one priority. We want to make sure that all the money that they're spending on all the rehabilitation projects on the district, you know, because they're revamping a lot of these buildings. We're not going to close neighborhood schools, and we're going to improve neighborhood schools. We're going to fix them. We're going to make them look better. We're going to make them function better. And we're going to give them what they need so that people don't have to worry about sewage shutting down, you know, freaking poor Neil Armstrong. I mean, every time you turn around, that building is shut down because of mold or now sewage. Wasn't
there a guy on drugs in there recently?
Naked. Yes.
Wait,
oh
what?
my God.
Yeah.
That story I was on the board when
summer?
that happened. So some
yeah,
dude broke in.
Yes.
He broke in.
Did he slide around?
Oh yeah. So poor Neil Armstrong. And Ryan Leckie was there the next morning for like a Ryan's Run rally.
God.
And he was in the gym. And the guy took like milk and oil from
That's what it was.
Which
and
one is
rubbed himself all over like
What?
and it's all on video.
No.
Wait,
I
where
didn't
is
hear
it?
any
Neil
of
Armstrong.
this.
Where
Oh, it was
is
Neil
that?
Armstrong. It was 2 years ago.
Over by where the North Scranton High School used to be, the top of Greenridge Street.
Yeah, not far from there.
Yeah,
the guy
okay.
broke in and he like broke into the like just stole like milk and oil from the
commissary.
The commissary. Poured it all over himself in the gym, was rubbing himself with it and laying around in it and rolling
Cocaine's a hell
around
of
in
a
it.
drug.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Man, that's crazy.
But anyway, my point is that poor Neil. I love my North Scranton people, and North Scranton at Neil Armstrong. Every time you turn around, that school is dealing with something.
Yeah,
Right.
I was gonna ask a question on that. So what are they gonna do with the kids? Like now
With the
that
sewage thing.
Yeah.
So here's the one good thing about the pandemic. They used some of their stimulus money to give everybody a laptop, and so because of that,
For porn.
Pornhub.
What do you think they're going to do, Tom?
No, I'm sure.
I
What do you think I'm doing over here?
But if I've never had a computer before and somebody gave me a Chromebook, I'm like,
I would hope
I know what
that-
I'm going to do.
I would hope that they have.
Yeah, parental
Software to
block.
stu- yeah,
Something.
Wait, was it like Florida that I think one of the teachers had a press conference talking about parents not like smoking, drinking, and having sex when their kids are
Oh
like
my God.
when their kids are studying.
Well, I don't think I don't know about that, and I hope that's not happening.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Like 2 or 3 quick questions, and then we're going to wrap it up.
One.
Is that what's it, $60 million?
Yeah, it's 57 million, but they also got a $3 million stake.
All right. So should that be looked at as a gift, and and try your best not to like it almost seems like that amount of money could really second chance a district.
So gift is a weird
Like
word.
a take two.
So gift is a weird word for me.
It's not like
It almost seems to
Christmas.
clean up the sins of the past and give you a fresh start.
That's what I mean. Can that be used to maybe potentially, if used correctly, just shine a little light in the darkness?
Oh my
and give
God.
A little bit of
Okay.
hope?
So in that case, absolutely. If you're framing it that way, there's absolutely no question in my
Because my
mind.
concern is that money's going to get used incorrectly.
Yeah.
So that's also my concern. One of the reasons I'm running. So I definitely 100% believe that this money is corrective. So if you take it and you apply it to the areas in the district that are dealing with detrimental issues, you can absolutely start plugging in the gaps that we've been talking about this whole evening.
So building renovations
Yes.
plus.
Yeah. So like you think about the closure of Bancroft, which I would love to reverse if I could. You know, that
Is
building.
that off the table?
So for me, if I get on there, no, I would love to bring it
Right.
back.
But in like, well, I guess,
Unclosing a school is hard with state law.
I gotta ask these quick, Alex, because I gotta go to that dinner. I gotta go to that dinner.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
My wife's gonna lose her mind.
All right, so I'll do it as quick as I can.
So the money.
So the money can absolutely 100% be used to start correcting these problems. So like I said, 60 million in stimulus funds, 75 million in a capital improvement fund, plus the fact that they've got yearly surpluses for 3 straight years. They're going to have another one next year. Yeah, this district can start righting the ship. There's no question in my mind.
Then why are our taxes going up?
Yeah.
So they didn't this year, and it's very funny because I got an argument.
But the payroll tax is going to make them go up.
So they shouldn't do the. Oh God, this is tough. All right, 2 things. Number one,
I feel like you're in the rapid fire round at this point.
Yeah,
No, he's not. He's not. His view on the tax situation is that he agrees with the payroll tax, but just not right now.
Yeah. So 2 things. So they
Especially coming out of a what we went through, and the tax revenue isn't what it was last year.
Yeah. So 2 things. So if you have a surplus, you shouldn't raise property tax. So they didn't this year, and it's funny because in the primary I said no raising taxes, and I had school directors attack me over it, and I said, and then they ended up doing what I suggested. And I didn't get any apologies from them, but
you won't.
No, and I never would. So there, you should never raise taxes if you have an $8 million surplus. I don't need more of your money if I've got 8 million extra.
Right.
So that's A. So B, the reason I don't think a payroll tax makes sense right now, and it would have made sense 2 years ago, but it doesn't make any sense right now, is because the pandemic has depressed revenue so much. So it's got to be an apples to apples revenue stream.
Neutral.
Yeah. So business and mercantile, you pay it, I'm sure. So if you switched it from business and mercantile, which is on your gross receipts, which is silly, and I'm sure you hate it, and you switch it to your payroll, it's got to be citywide the same exact dollar amount, which actually would probably save you some money. But because
mine will double.
Mine, well, I don't pay either, but most people like 5 employees.
Did you say that out loud?
No, I'm in manufacturing.
Are you 100% sure about that?
Manufacturing.
Okay. Well, then
He has a
payroll
lot of employees
because of it being a salon. Yeah. I'm heavy payroll, so mine will go from about $8,000 a year to about $14,000 a year.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
But a bank that has 5 bank tellers, add them on.
Which pays 0 right now.
Add them on.
My thought, if you're ever going to do it, you have to make sure that you're not paying 14, that you just still pay 8. And you can craft the tax with exemptions to do that. And they didn't do any of those nuances. Yep. And the other thing is, because of the pandemic, there's no reason for any of that. Because of tax collection is so low, you shouldn't implement that kind of a massive tax change in a crisis.
Yeah.
So that would be why I'm against it.
What sort of an albatross is the Scranton School District to the city of Scranton?
So here's great question. And albatross, of course, is a reference to Samuel Taylor Coleridge, English teacher here.
I did that on accident, but I'm happy you took it that way.
Well, whatever.
I'm smart, Tom.
Yeah, Brimer the
accidentally
cultured.
So, well, I appreciate it regardless. You're cultured accidentally. So
who wrote that? Who wrote that?
Samuel Taylor Coleridge. It's the Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
It's a fairly famous piece of work.
Come on. You're a famous piece of work.
I am.
Nailed it, Tom.
So the reason it's an albatross is because when people want to move somewhere, they think about the school district, right? And we all probably have friends who've been like, "Ooh, I'm going to move to Abington," and I know so many West Siders are like, "I'm going to pick up my family and I'm going to move to Abington because it's a better school district."
From Greenwich,
and I'm going to tell you guys right now that that's bullshit.
I disagree 100%.
You can everyone.
I've based my entire life on moving back to the Abington School District because everywhere else sucks compared to Abington.
Okay, well, you've made a huge mistake, and I'm about to explain. So,
also, he's a forensic accountant,
so he can forensically account for why he's wrong.
If nothing else, you're quick.
Yeah. So let me explain. As I said earlier, the thing is with public school versus like charters and also Abington, Scranton still offers significantly more after school programs than any other local district. And the reason is they're bigger. They can do more. They have the capacity to do more. You didn't have the opportunity to play a violin in the Abington School District.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
we all did.
4th grade violin starts.
Everything.
Do they still?
Band starts 5th grade.
Okay, well, congratulations, and I'm very glad that that's the case.
Yeah, I know what privilege is.
Good. I'm glad you have privilege.
I know what that is.
So I'm wrong about that. But I'm telling you, like that like Scranton has that band. It has I don't understand that the only difference is the robotics team at Abington. They have a robotics team, and Scranton doesn't have a robotics team.
Oh, Jesus.
But almost every other thing that
They're
you
gonna
can think
take
of,
over the planet.
that too.
Dude, I just saw a robot dog in New York that had a fucking rifle on
But,
the top.
yeah, I know that.
It's like, that's not
But
good.
here's the thing.
And the question is, where can I get
So
it?
I'm talking about right now.
Roll call.
But if I'm on the board, like we're going to expand, we're going to add more because Scranton has 10,000 students. Abington has what? 3? So we can have.
No, Abington's got a huge.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Yeah, my graduating class was like 350.
Yeah, but that's one high.
375.
Yeah,
no,
that's-
no, it's just one grade in my.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's also one high school versus 2 high schools that both have.
That's
one
true.
has like
Yeah,
500.
yeah.
So anyway, it doesn't. Bottom line is, it's got all these opportunities, and historically, Scranton used to send more people to Ivy League schools than.
It's just been mismanaged for 10 years.
Yes,
more.
So you have all these resources, you have all these abilities, and so while I'm sad that I've watched so many people pick up and leave West Side and Scranton to go to the Abington School District thinking that that's number one. It's not number one. Scranton has a tighter community, and it's got come on, you're a weird West Side or whatever you want to call it.
I don't talk to my neighbors. I hate my.
What do you
community.
mean, Novena?
Oh my God!
You're
No,
not-
I love my community.
I love the
course.
Abingtons. I
Yeah.
think they have
Well,
a
no, I
really
think-
tight
And I love
community.
the Abingtons too.
What did it?
I think the big thing, and this is where listen, you're preaching to the choir because my kids are in the Scranton School District. I could have moved anywhere. I just moved a couple months ago. I could have moved a while ago. Our kids could go to prep. We could do whatever. We believe very strongly in it.
Yeah.
But there's an element of it for us that's like we see the problems too. We predominantly believe very strongly in the potential.
Yeah, and
Of what it can come back to.
But we need people like Tom, Ty, Danielle,
right.
and Sean.
I appreciate that.
I'm
And-
sorry. I don't know. I don't believe in that potential. I haven't seen it, and I am so glad my kid doesn't go to school here.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you 100% because I'm going to send my kids to the Scranton School District, and the reason is because of what I see. I know a lot of the teachers.
What
and
are
that's
your
great.
options?
That's great.
Do you have options for your
Yeah, I
kids?
could send my kids to private school, charter school. I could pay
That
$2.
costs you money, doesn't it?
your
school
kids
doesn't.
are worth a few bucks.
My kids are worth a few bucks.
Yeah.
But you know what? They might be worth a few bucks, but they're still going to go to Scranton. I'm going to also tell you the one thing that Abington will never have, and this
Tom
is this,
Borthwick, I'll tell you that.
aside from that,
School board director.
and my wife and I talked about this quite a bit. My kids are going to grow up in a diverse environment where they're going to meet kids who have different backgrounds, who have racially diverse backgrounds, ethnically, financially diverse backgrounds. They're going to get that in Scranton, and you can't get that
I disagree.
level.
So
Where-
wait.
where
Dan-
can you get
Dan
that?
didn't speak a lot.
Yeah.
I
You
want
could get
Dan-
that at Abington. You could get that. You can get that there.
What's the minority ESL population of Abington compared to Scranton?
I mean, it's definitely smaller compared to Scranton. Yes.
Yes.
But there is still a larger community of.
So about-
It's expanded since the time that we've been there.
We're talking-
It is a lot bigger.
We're
yeah.
talking 56 different spoken languages in the Scranton School District.
Damn.
It's starting to change though. Like in the Abington, I can see, but that part I agree with you, right? Because my daughter grew up in
And
like
honest, you can't put a price tag on
yeah,
that.
my daughter grew up in like the Eastern Quakertown area. Really great school district.
All right, dude. I really have to. I have a heart out,
And-
man. I gotta go.
And that was like the one thing. And
Sorry,
real
Mark.
quick, that was like
Don't
the
be
one
sorry.
thing. That was
I
like
love
the
this
one thing-
conversation.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that I knew was lacking. Diversity.
Right.
I will say, not knowing you at all, we might be friends on Facebook. I don't know.
Let's become friends.
We'll become friends. But just like when we had an accountant on here a couple of many episodes ago, it's like, oh, we're going to talk about the school board. This is going to suck. It's been fantastic.
Oh, I have a ball talking about
It was
this stuff.
great. Like, and learning a lot. I mean, and for me, more than anybody, like having 2 kids in the school district, I'm like, okay, now I know what's going on. Now I understand the problems. Now I understand. Hopefully everybody in town will listen to this
Yeah.
because
They need
this
to.
needs to be an informed conversation because
Yeah.
these are the people
There's a lot
that
at
make
stake.
decisions for our kids.
There's a lot at stake.
And like we said this. That's why we had the special meeting with the parking
Yeah.
authority. If we don't fix this now, we're on a bad track.
And we need to find out the problem, and we're gonna, and we
you
have,
to
and
be
here
able
we
to have
are.
a conversation about
Yeah.
it.
Amen.
You have to talk about the poor decisions that were made, so we don't make
Yes.
them again.
Exactly.
You're on the parking authority as well?
Yeah,
He's
we're both
my
on the parking
he's
authority.
my bulldog.
I used to be the vice chair there.
Oh, that's what I
That
do
is
now.
him, the bulldog.
what year?
Yeah.
What years?
Until 2016 to 2019.
Oh,
Oh,
I might have replaced you.
Yeah.
You might have.
Yeah.
Any more questions, Marky?
What
Mark?
day? What day's the election?
November 2nd.
Wait. Democrats vote on the 3rd.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
You never heard that? Republicans on the 2nd.
So it's November
Democrats-
2nd, and you want to can you say everybody's name that you would like them to vote for?
Yeah.
Sure. So, Tom Borthwick, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm great. I'm running with Ty Holmes, great man. Danielle Chezik, wonderful woman. And Sean McAndrew, who's on the board now, who's done a great job.
Can we get? I'd like to get Sean on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can we reach out to him? I'd like to talk to him.
absolutely.
I'll
Let's
throw
get him
a
and Ty
line.
on. Because I
Yeah.
think we were trying to get
They're
Ty
great
on.
guys. You guys would
Yeah.
you would
And
love
Danielle, what is she doing these days? Let's get her on.
them. Yeah,
She's
do it.
zooming. I want to say thank you to Tom. I've always enjoyed our conversations.
This has been a ball.
I'm
I always
happy-
have a good time.
That's
I'm
what
happy we're
family's
friends.
for, man.
Very informative.
Your friends, your
I'll see you
family.
at the reunion.
Amen.
All right, thank you, and
Opa!
What a week.